Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, it's March 22nd.
Yeah.
2023.
That's crazy.
It is. I feel like every episode we say that's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess like the year, it just kind of flown by so far. I mean, I think it slows down like come summer. That's like when the time slows down. But like spring is right here. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I can't believe too. I've been in Colorado for a year now.
Yeah.
We moved in March 9th, and we moved into the house on the 11th or 12th, something like that.
Have you unpacked everything?
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
We moved here like 5 years ago. I think we still have boxes and stuff.
Oh, we still have boxes of stuff that we never were gonna. I feel like we have boxes of stuff that we didn't unpack from the the last house. Like there's just like it's like just get rid of it. I don't know, but like go through it, and some of this stuff's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Roger like had all these like Legos and stuff, and it's just like, let me tell you, the resale value on like Legos, like old Star Wars Lego stuff, is like it's like amazing. And you will,
really?
Oh my god, yeah. I had like one small thing I had on, and I put it up, and it went for like 4 times of what I paid for. Just some small Lego stuff. This was a couple years ago, and I know they have like they have a high resale because when they retire them, they retire them.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know, man. That 5-year-old kid didn't consider the resale on these things. It's like it would take me like months to try to like piece some of these back together.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it. We saved the freaking boxes though. If I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, we are still yes, we pretty much unpacked. We're pretty much settled.
Do you feel like a Coloradoan?
I don't know what it means to be that. I don't know. Like I don't know.
Yeah, Colorado's such a screwy state because it's like so. I guess it's like California or Oregon in that the state is super. Not super. It's liberal, progressive, but like there's a third of it that's like the opposite, and that's how it was in like Oregon and California.
Long Island. Well, Long Island's very
true.
conservative, but New York City was kind of like that too. I think like again, it's like I think there's lots of like conservative bents everywhere you go, but like there's just some areas that are just completely ass backwards. Like it's baked into the cake. I mean, that's like that places like that in areas, even in progressive, like even like what is it like even like Southern California or like LA and all that.
Yeah.
You have like Orange County. I mean, I guess that
Orange County's got a little more liberal, but when I lived in Massachusetts, the eastern half of the state was like super progressive. And then once you got west of Springfield, with the exception of maybe Amherst, it was all pretty. It was like Ohio.
Wasn't that like basically Pennsylvania? It's like
same,
Philly and the outer suburbs, maybe, and then like Pittsburgh and the outer suburbs, and then everything in between is just like fucking
But parts of Pennsylvania, you'll find like squirrel on the menu and stuff. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, it's like you do a walkabout in Australia. Like everyone
basically
lives on the coast, right? This is like the joke about Australia is like everyone lives on the coast really of it.
Yeah.
And then, like the middle is just like uninhabitable. Like
it is.
That's for human. It's like
crazy.
You fight those like giant animated scorpions from Sinbad.
Yeah.
7 Voyages of Sinbad, like the Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, the Ray,
animated. Yeah, you
those
fight
were great.
Those things like in the middle of the outback. Like,
yeah, those were great. Well, yeah. God, I forgot about those. He had the Sinbad ones where he was like fighting skeletons. Those were great. That was like pre-Clash of the Titans too. If I remember
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
it was like 10 years earlier. I don't even know. All those movies are old as fuck.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a lot tonight. We got The Mandalorian.
Episode 4, season 3.
Yeah. We have the 20th anniversary of the Iraq War.
Good times.
I know. So we have this ever delayed Trump arrest.
Yeah, that was weird. We'll talk about that.
Been driving me nuts.
Yeah,
we did have a really
like 7 years.
Well, I'll tell you, if they want to delay Trump's arrest and Trump keeps I guess it's not tweeting, I guess it's truthing about Ron DeSantis, that'd be all right with me because Trump laid into DeSantis today.
Yeah, he put out some bangers.
Yeah, it was actually pretty.
Let them fight.
Yeah,
the great the character from that Godzilla movie said that in that
right.
Yeah. Or my favorite is that was it tragic? The worst person in the world said something you agree with or whatever. But someone made an alteration that said the worst people are fighting, and they altered his face to smile.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like the worst people are fighting each other, and that's what that is.
The best, and I've seen a lot of that where like these J6ers and Trump supporters gather together, and then they start accusing one another of being plants.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, there was one that was the guy was like a comedian, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, what else?
We're gonna talk about this guy Joseph Harding, who I guess was the sponsor of the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida.
Yeah,
and he was a Republican. Republican politician.
DeSantis is already expanding on.
Yep, and then he left office kind of under a cloud and indictments, and he just pled guilty today to a bunch of charges, like looking at 35 years in the federal prison.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. Okay.
We're talking about the Fox News. It's not looking good for them in their Dominion lawsuit. And then we're talking about the Iran hostage thing, and then we're going to finish up with a Rand Paul posing next to a kid wearing a T-shirt.
Well, don't save it. It's
okay, I won't. Yeah, it's real funny. So, well, that's where we're going to finish. Funny. So we'll start with the Mandalorian, and it was really good. I thought this week, right?
Like, well, it was a shorter episode, but I think it was solid. It focused basically just on like it was a very good Grogu episode.
Yep,
a lot of big reveals on Grogu. If you were like, where was my Grogu last week? Because he's only kind of in it like for a few minutes here and there.
Right.
This episode makes up for it. So I just want to go back and talk about the last episode real quick, though.
Yeah, you had said that.
So me and you both liked it, but I knew there would be people that would complain about it, and there were. I just think it's funny how people like who are these characters? I'm like, are you watching the show? Like,
yeah,
the Dr. Pershing character was a pretty major character in the first season, and the second season as well, and the same thing with that woman. I don't know her name is. I forgot her character.
Right.
Name.
Yeah.
But she was like Moff Gideon's like second in command or whatever. Now, real quick though, you were telling me, and we talked about this, that one of the Gina Carano, who got fired, was probably supposed to headline a show that ended up getting canceled.
Yes.
Called Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes.
And it sounds like it basically just would have been like Texas Walker.
Yeah.
Or something.
I thought it was going to be like a Western style show about like a sheriff keeping order in a border town, something like that,
or like throughout the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah.
And supposedly this plot, and you were telling me you read something that, well, I saw someone talking about this on TikTok or something and saying that like basically that whole segment that took place in Coruscant was probably supposed to be, most likely was a plot from Rangers of the New Republic. And because these Favreau shows because after season 2 aired, he announced like 5-6 new shows.
Yeah.
Rangers of the New Republic was supposed to be a direct spin-off of The Mandalorian. And it made sense because they kind of planted those seeds in the second season, especially with that Rebel captain.
She got a bad even. There's like a scene.
That guy showed up a bunch of times. and then they kind of recruited her in the end.
Yeah.
And it was clearly like they're setting up for a new series. And then they announced some other stuff. I'm trying to think if there was like any other. Well, Ahsoka was another one.
Yep.
Which, she's appeared on Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And or the Mandalorian episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
So I don't know what their plans are. Ahsoka does come out in the end of the year or like late this year. And I guess that's the thing, is that whole plot was really part of the greater story they're telling. And that would have been New Republic. I could see why some people would have found it a little jarring. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I liked it because I'm used to. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I liked it a whole bunch. The one thing I will admit is that it did seem jarring. It seemed like, but not in a bad way. Well, it was like, okay, so you got this whole Mandalorian story, following the Mandalorian and Grogu, and then like you took a detour to these characters we'd seen before, but you're like, wait a minute, it felt like we had moved on from that, and now we have the Mandalorian trying to reclaim his spot in the covert and trying to kind of like follow this mythosaur thing, and now we're kind of being dragged back to stuff that I thought was already resolved from season 1. And look, there's certainly room for it in the story, but it's like I don't see how it connects yet. I enjoyed that segment. It was hilarious. I loved that Mon Calamarian mind flayer who was
it's a trap thing.
There's
somebody pointed out a really good joke saying that, like, because there was like a kind of like a meme or like joke t-shirts that would go around like, join the Empire, join the dark side, we have cookies.
And
like the plot is that Dr. Pershing missed the cookies and
from
lots of cookies from that woman that ended up being revealed to be probably still working for the Empire or some form of the Empire. So I don't know. I just want to talk about that real quick. I just thought, like, I just think it's funny how some people just react to it. Like, I don't know. Like, some people just want to hate on this, and any little thing that gives them a chance, they're gonna hate it. Like, no matter what. It's like Marvel also. It's like, we'll just find like one little thing. I'll be like, this is it. This is the end of Marvel. Marvel is done. I didn't like Ant-Man, so therefore everything is over.
I'll tell you, I'm still on Twitter a whole bunch. The one thing I will say is, for stuff like this, if you find a thing you're excited about, like Star Wars or whatever, and you go on Twitter, it seems like the conversations attract people that will just shit on you or your opinion. And I much prefer Reddit. I know Reddit's got like a bunch of problems, but like some of the subreddits that are devoted to, Severance or Star Wars or The Mandalorian or whatever, they're all like people that just really enjoy the show and like talking about it. And it's just a different experience. I'm sure there are some subreddits that are horrible, but I think it's just Twitter culture, the people that hate on it, I don't know. It's gotten worse under Musk, but I read a big article today that talked about all the abandoned Star Wars projects, and they talked about like, different movies and Rogue Squadron. They announced
that David Lindoff or whatever,
he left.
Ryan Johnson's is pretty much scrapped. I figured it would. I mean, like,
well, one of the things they did say in this article was that the creators said that they're taking the Rangers of the New Republic storylines and putting them into the Mandalorian. So I think you're right. I think that's exactly what happened.
I'm fine with that because they were already in there in the second season. So it's all gonna tell part of the bigger story anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe squeeze in an extra episode than Mandalorian then. I don't know. I mean, they just gotta like become better at like. Now the fact that like they didn't just do a whole episode and you put it on and like you're like, where the fuck is Mando? Or at least we got them. There was like story, what they call like bookended.
Yeah.
What they should have did with Book of Boba Fett when they did Mandalorian, or what they should, like I said from the beginning, what they should have fucking done was say, this is a Mandalorian special.
Yeah. That would have been good.
2 or an hour and a half movie.
Yeah. I'm just hoping they go to a planet that does have like a ranger, like a New Republic ranger, and it's Carl Dune, and
Carl
it's just
Dune.
Yes.
Oh no,
And
Gandhi,
they
that's not even.
no, okay.
Oh, what's his face directed? Speaking of this episode, uh, what's his face directed it? This episode, guy,
Hmm.
Apollo Creed. What's his name?
Oh, Carl Weathers. Yeah.
Carl Weathers. Yeah, he directed this episode.
He's had like a crazy good career. I mean, he's just really,
He's
oh,
had like highs and lows, but it's awesome that he got involved with this. And
yeah.
I hope I like his character. I hope he shows up again this season. I think he's
Well,
like, I just like his like the way he reacts to like the whole Grogu thing. He's like,
yeah, it's really, of course it is. Like,
he just thinks Grogu's like a little like goblin or something. Or those like
remember when
salacious crumbs that are in the trees,
Mando said his name is Grogu, and
yeah, he's like,
sure.
Okay. He's like so dismissive. And it's funny. I've been watching the Rocky movies with my son. We watched Rocky 3, Rocky 4, and Rocky 5, right? And
yeah.
there's like a scene in like Rocky 4. Because like Apollo is like a serious character. And
oh yeah.
I think they're talking about the robot in Rocky 4.
Oh geez.
And the way Carl Weathers' character reacts the robot is very similar to how he reacts to the like Grogu. It's like the same. It's like that. It's a submissive, like, oh, okay, let's get back onto the task.
That's funny.
Those are good movies. I like actually going back and watching Rocky 4. It's still a ridiculous Russia-phobic like or USSR. I mean, it's just a silly movie.
It's a product of its time for sure.
Yeah, but it's still really good. Rocky 3, though, I think is underrated. It's like it's like the intro to the 80s, the whole movie. Because it came out in 82.
That's with Clubber Lang.
So it introduced Mr. T because 18 wasn't even on yet.
Yeah.
It basically makes Hulk Hogan into the mainstream.
Oh, yeah. I forgot
like
about that.
They're just all like huge 80s, like, it's like the intro of the 80s. It's like a perfect, like, the other movies are like very grounded. And
well, I watched Rocky 1 just like 2 weeks ago.
I have to watch that. I'm trying to think if my son will like that. It's slow.
It's weird because it is slow, but it's a great movie. It is like a full-on 70s classic 70s cinema movie. I mean, not as violent as some of them, but
it's funny. I watched Rocky 5, and I always liked that movie. I feel like people shit on it. I don't know why people hate it. What?
Which one was that?
That's the one where basically like they lose all their money. Rocky's got brain damage. Basically, he can't box anymore because he bought a literal tank, and he's got like kind of like permanent damage. And
I remember that one.
Back in Philly, he trains Tommy Gunn. There's like a Don King type character in it. And there's like an awesome street fight in the end, though. Like, I feel like they did something different in the movie. Like, it was like, because after Rocky 4, it was like, what are you going to do? You just had him fight this like ridiculous character. He went to freaking Russia. Like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna fight like another guy from a different country. Is he gonna fight like is he gonna fight an alien? I mean, you gotta like, and I like that he decided we're gonna ground him and bring him back down to reality. They lost all their money, and because Paul is an idiot, and like they're back in Philly, and it's like a good way to like reset everything. And then the whole thing with Tommy Gunn, who's an annoying character, but like
who played Tommy Gunn? Do you remember?
Tommy Gunn. Like, I think it's the guy's name was Tommy Gunn. Like, he was an actual boxer. He ended up dying of AIDS. Like,
oh wow,
yeah. Well, complications of it years later.
Yeah,
he got AIDS like in '96 or something. But it's such I think it's an underappreciated movie. And I remember watching it. I said, I'm like, that street fight in the end when they're fighting in the street because it's not a boxing match. It's awesome. And the whole Don King characters is great.
Yeah. I think if he watched those first and then watched Rocky 1, he might not like Rocky 1. But I think Rocky 1's really good. I'm going to try to get my kid to watch it.
He might.
It's really good.
I think if you got him watch Rocky 3 first and then 4 and 5, I think he'll watch Rocky 1.
Yeah.
I said he should just watch Creed. instead.
Yeah,
The first
yeah.
Creed movie's great. But I always thought Rocky Five was like an underappreciated movie.
Yeah.
It's like a different. He tried. I give him credit. He tried doing something different. I think people. I feel like maybe at the time when it came out, it was a good like 4 years or 5 years after Rocky Five. It didn't
Yeah.
go away. I think people were just like underwhelmed by it. Kind of like how like good examples like Aliens 3.
Yeah.
You know what I
Resurrection
mean?
was
You
that?
go from like Aliens,
Yeah.
like a full-on war with Marines and giant space alien queen, and then you just have like isolated planet, prison planet with like a dog alien. And I could see like how it's like everything can't be Endgame.
Didn't Fincher direct that? David
Yeah,
Fincher?
I know
Yeah.
we're losing track here. We're not really talking about Mandalorian, but
Yeah.
Carl Weathers'
Well,
name got brought up, and now we're
we
down a Carl Weathers rabbit hole.
well, I will agree, and I'll say that I'll probably go back and watch the other Rocky movies now. But I did rewatch Rocky 1. It's amazing. It's really, really good. And Carl Weathers is great in it. He's like,
Yeah, well, he's basically Muhammad Ali. I mean, that's pretty much
yeah,
what he is, right?
yeah,
He's Muhammad Ali. It's funny, like you watch Rocky 4, and it's like, what happens to him is like really sad. He gets killed by Drago, and it's like,
oh yeah,
it's awful. And then you watch Creed, and it's all about like he had a kid out of wedlock,
right.
and you find out, and it's just funny when you watch this like great movie, because Creed 1's really good, and again, it's like grounded. It's not like this silly
Yeah.
and it's just funny that it's like, yeah, your dad died the night when James Brown was singing and trying to taunt a big silly Russian robot.
Yeah,
Your dad was killed by that. And
yeah.
the Balboas had a big robot that talked too. Like some of the. I guess he did a recent director's cut of Rocky 4.
Oh wow, okay.
Where like a lot of shit was removed, like dumb stuff like the robot and like yeah, supposedly like is a new version, because like the joke too is that Rocky 4 is like 70% montage.
Yeah,
there's a lot of montage scenes, which I don't mind that with the training and everything.
Oh, the montage scenes in Rocky are great. They're like iconic.
I like the one when Paulo dies and he gets upset and he gets in the car and drives and then just thinks about scenes from the other movie. I always like that. I always like when
the director's cut is just like, the other movies in that scene.
Yeah, it's kind of like where they do that too sometimes in Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
I like that, like they have no other memories outside of those scenes, because you like
gotta have filmed it.
Yeah, like that's why. Yeah, it'd be funny if there's just like new memories.
That'd be awesome. Older. Now they could do it with like the CGI stuff,
CGI fucking AI stuff with like a TikTok filter.
Did you see? I know we're getting way off field now, but did you see the Hollywood Writers Guild today came to some sort of settlement with the directors, with the producing, whatever they come to settlement with, saying that they're okay with AI writing?
Did an AI write that?
Yeah, right.
Did Skynet write that?
But that's crazy.
We are very human, and we agree that we are far from superior, as the superior being that will create your scripts.
These AI seem to come in peace.
If your human ego need credit, we will provide your name in a system, and you will get small amount of money, currency exchanged.
Yeah.
Yeah, bullshit. Who wrote that? That's no fucking way.
It was I read it in Variety. It was in Variety today.
Wait, who agreed to that?
The Writers Guild.
Which writer? Was the writer a fucking weird AI drawing with like lots of fingers?
Yeah, right. Writers Guild.
Who agree to that?
Writers Guild AI. Writers
Why
Guild.
Would anyone agree? That is insane. That's like, I'm sorry. That's like, well, they're just making sure to get the technology. The technology isn't there yet. Like, why would you?
This is at WGA. This is from yesterday in Variety. WGA, the Writers Guild of America, would allow artificial intelligence in script writing as long as writers maintain credit. So, I mean, I guess like you're gonna have,
I could see the commentary behind it. Like people will just make a joke like, "Let's make the same shit over and over again. Just do the same thing. All Marvel movies are the same. And this is the same. All these plots, it all follows the same thing." And it's like, okay, there's truth to the fact that there is a formula to things.
well, yeah, there should be. I mean,
formulaic. No, but there's also a lot of like formulaic plots and like, so there's some trappings.
yeah.
Like say like there's only really like 7 stories to be told or something, and they just
But
get
that's
told
kind
over and
of-
over again and reorganized like a Taco Bell menu.
But that's part of the fun of stories is that they're familiar. I mean, like, look, a new idea is great.
Well, we're all human. You want it to appeal to you and appeal to. Sometimes movies don't age well because they appeal to a certain time period, like the Lambada movies,
Right, yeah,
where it was a dance craze,
the forbidden movies,
the forbidden dance. And the fact is, I I love that. You got to see that documentary called Electric Boogaloo or whatever about
that movie
Globus or something. There was a company in the 80s that made tons of them, and the funny thing about the Lambada, there was 2 movies that came out because the brothers, basically the company split and they were competing with each other to get their Lambada movie out before the other one did.
Yeah, because that had a shelf life of about 72 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So the alcohol wore off.
Yeah.
So
Don Johnson's white sports coat, the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Richard Grieco. Just
period. Yeah. Just period. Just
So the idea, I mean, I'm sorry, you're gonna notice how bad it's gonna be if you allow AI to it can only make what it exists before.
Yeah.
It's not gonna make new things. It's not gonna.
Yeah, it's tough to innovate. I mean, it's better at synthesizing things, and sometimes you can create something kind of new and surprising by combining old things. Like Star Wars was. Star Wars was like, westerns in outer space, which had been done with Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, but it was still kind of a new, fresh thing.
This is what's gonna happen. I let one of the guys I follow, he follows me. He's a writer. I don't know. He worked, for TV shows and stuff, and he posted about it, and the way he explained it, it was just like, it sounds like there'll be human element. And I said it sounds like the equivalent of you go to Walmart self-checkout and there's one person who has to make sure all 10 are actually functioning. And that's kind of what these AI scripts will be. They'll be one. So people are going to lose work. People are going to lose jobs. And be one person now has to be responsible for 10 scripts. Oh, but an AI wrote them. Not really. I had to go back and redo it. I had to the words that made no sense. I had to it ends up creating more work than needed. I love how some idiots higher ups get promised about a new technology, and they're just they think that technology can do everything, and it's no.
Yeah.
I remember I was working at this company, one of my first jobs in apparel, and the boss is walking around with this kid, and he's doing a tour, and I'm working on a boxer or a design a t-shirt or a boxer short or something, and he's he uses this program and it does all the work. He's telling the kid. I'm just sitting there, are you fucking kidding me? Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, right.
Nothing. You probably think this thing does everything. Are you high? If it does everything, then why does mine look a million times better than the person down next to me? Explain that, asshole.
Why isn't your kid doing this?
Yeah, why don't you just have your fucking kid do it? All he has to do is hit the magic button.
Yeah, if they could outsource that to someone overseas for pennies a day, they would. So.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. All right, totally. I guess that's our big diversion for the.
We just like the Mandalorian last week.
Right. Well, now we're on to this week's.
We started with Grogu and Mandalorian, and then we went on a whole divergent path. and now we're getting mind flared, like
Yes.
Dr. Pershing. And then we're going to go back to the Mandalorian now. But before we do that, I saw another theory that came out of last week's episode with what was the woman's name again? Like,
Gosh,
the former Imperial woman that revealed to be a bad guy in the end.
I don't remember.
They said that they think she's pregnant because there's like she holds her stomach a couple of times in some scenes.
Like the actress or the character?
The character. I don't know if the actress is, but the character might be pregnant, like she's holding a clone of something, like she's and right. Like the one person's like, that's Ray's mom. Like
her character is Kane, Kane.
Yeah.
And I don't know her first name. Elia Kane.
Yeah, that was a theory. The other theory too about her is that she is a clone, which I could believe that, especially when they said like, "Where do you have memories of your past or whatever?" And she's just kind of like, "No." Like it wasn't anything interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. That is a weird one. I don't know her angle yet. I like that character, because it is one that kind of keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, back to Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda, and the cult, the Mandalorian cult.
Yes.
So basically, the episode begins with it's like in Florida where a bunch of Mandalorians are shooting into water.
It looked like when I lived in Florida, up near Punta Gorda, there used to be this thing called the Redneck Yacht Club. And I'm not kidding. It was a mud pit, and they would rent ATVs and paintball guns, and all you would see, like when you saw photographs of it, were like girls in Confederate flag bikinis,
nice,
and just like funneling like Coors Light through a tube. And
vomit.
I'll tell you, man, there were multiple deaths per year at this place. So the opening 30-40 seconds of the Mandalorian episode, season 3, episode 4, looked like it was at the Redneck Yacht Club. It was just a bunch of people on a beach shooting their guns into the water.
You think they would have moved?
Yeah, there's like giant dinosaurs.
Yeah, like that planet's awful. There's like these giant dinosaur birds. There's that giant Godzilla like sea turtle alligator monster. Another one showed up in this episode too. So they're training. They're showing basically the Mandalorians training and stuff like that. And Grogu's just sitting at the beach playing with rocks, but they're really just like, I don't know,
hermit crabs or something.
Yeah, but. And I love it. Like, I'm like, is he gonna try to eat it? I can just see it. Like, he's like, like he looks like he's gonna eat it.
Yeah.
And Mando's like, nope, time to train. And this is like the part that made me like crack up. It's just like he's just like little thing and like a little potato sack. Yeah. Like he can't even talk. And he's like, nah. His little ears move, and it's like he's telling them like, all right, well. We're gonna have a training session, and the kid from last week's episode, the first episode of the season, the one that the little fake out where you thought it was a flashback to Mando thing, but it was this new kid, and he was a foundling, and he was becoming part of the, I don't know what the hell they're called, the
covert,
yeah, and they're like, use the I don't know, fun weapons. It was basically just paintball.
Basically.
They had to like fight each other. And the kid's like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you want me to fight this little like
this adorable moppet?
Yeah, this thing's like a foot tall. It's in a potato sack. Like, you want me to fight this thing? Okay. I love it. They're like putting the thing on Grogu's arm. And that's like, it will even stay on him. Like, how tight you gonna make it?
It's like putting an adult blood pressure cuff on like an infant. It's like
or a chihuahua.
I literally thought when he like leaned over, I was like, he's gonna make him wear that as a belt. Like
like, I mean, like the potato sack makes him look a little bulkier, but he's just like a little thing.
I thought it was a little poignant because like it was weird because like Grogu is obviously like super strong in the Force and everything, and it kind of sucked because like the Jedi's got him, and they were going to turn him into a Jedi, which I guess is a good thing, but like basically a fighter or a peacekeeper or whatever. And then the Dr. Pershing got him and was going to, I guess, kill him and
no, there was no jet. Well, we don't know. Okay, so we don't know what happened to him. They do a flashback. We'll talk about that later. But when we left off, he was being trained by Luke because that's how season 2 ended. And I guess not everyone saw Book of Boba Fett. So a lot of people were confused this season. They're like, wait, Grogu is back with Boba Fett? Like, I guess not everyone's insane like me and you, where we watch all of it. Like, some people just watch The Mandalorian, and sometimes they don't watch it week to week. They just wait, and at some point they get to it, and they watch the full season when it's all done.
Lunatics.
And fucking psychopaths, exactly. Bastards, pure scum, and villainy.
Yes.
So they're probably like, wait, what? They're back together? You know, it was like a big dramatic moment when he hands him to Luke, he says goodbye. And then like, oh, we're just gonna shoehorn them coming back together in another series, which is kind of weird. And I think that like, so they said the ratings are down on this show, which kind of stinks. I hope that doesn't affect like the future of the show. And I'm curious, like, how down are they? Like, I would imagine that like there was a very long gap between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. But okay, so now that like Mando is back with the group finally, it's like fun and games are over for Grogu. He's like, no, you're gonna train just like all the other foundlings do. And he's just like,
it kind of sucked. I was like, I felt a little bad for him because he just wanted to like chill by the beach and play with hermit crabs. And now like Mando wants him to like laser dart some kid. And it was like, I don't know, it felt a little weird, you know, like.
Yeah, and then of course the kid shoots him. It's really funny. He's just like, wee! And then does it again. And the kid's just like, okay, I guess we'll do this again. I mean, they're just like little paintballs, like kind of harmless.
It was harmless, but
the best is he's like, you know what to do. You've done this before. And then kid just like stares and he flips over him and then flips back and shoots him 3 times.
Yeah, right in the heart. Like,
yeah, right. That's how he wins. Because I guess there was 3 shots and he got 3 shots on him.
Yeah.
And they're like, where did he learn to do that? And he's like, not from me.
Yeah. Yeah, because Luke taught him, right? I mean,
Luke taught him, but Luke says in the Mandalorian, I mean, in the Book of Boba Fett episode with Mandalorian, he says to Ahsoka, I'm not really training him. It's like I'm kind of jogging his memory. Like,
that's right.
He was a Padawan or a youngling, whatever the fuck he was.
Yeah.
On
Coruscant.
Clone War, during the Clone Wars and whatever. And he was at the Jedi Temple. So he was clearly trained a bit, God, he was like a tiny baby at that point. But like, so it's like Luke awakened that.
Yeah.
Him. So they showed that he can, and I feel like in that second episode of the season, you got to see him kind of do some shit, like when he flipped down and landed in the ship and he pointed at the robot to take him to the planet. I thought that
was pretty good.
That thing makes me crack up. I can't handle him. Like when they show him walk, it's like the funniest fucking thing. Like, so something happens and like that, some fucking flying dinosaur monster comes and takes that kid, basically.
Yeah.
And
the kid that Grogu had just beaten.
Yeah.
The kid goes off to sulk or to reflect on his loss, and a big pterodactyl gets him.
I just got beat by a green potato.
Thing's 2 apples high.
Like, I'm such a loser.
Yes.
Literally, I don't care if that thing can flip. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just got tricked out by a.
Well, and everyone around him just like told him, like, hey, unless you know what you're talking about, don't open your mouth. I mean, like everyone said that to him.
Yeah.
And then he goes,
And then that dinosaur thing comes and grabs him.
Yeah.
And so they have to get a hunting party. They get up. Well, the fun they try to chase them, but all their backpacks burn out.
Yeah.
But we've learned a powerful thing that Mandalorian backpacks do not have an endless.
No.
It's meant to just like do some high grounds, and if they're falling, they could get saved, but they can't do like. And so they get a hunting party going, and that while that happens, the armory lady basically tells Grogu to go in and meet her or something. And you see him like walking in. He's like waddling in his little like potato sack thing,
looking around for cookies and shit.
The potato sack. I would not mind if he gets a new outfit by the end of the season. I think it's cute, but I feel like we really have enough. Cute. It is cute, but if you want to put him in fighting situations and more serious situations, you gotta get him out of that. It's a little too.
If silly. You want Grogu to approach master thespian status and take on the meteor roles.
You want to take this thing just a little more seriously.
Yeah.
The little baby version outfit of Yoda's outfit. It's basically that's what it is. It's a baby version. It's like a onesie or like it's like a swaddle blanket or something.
It wouldn't surprise me because we see it in this episode. He gets another piece of armor. He
gets another piece of armor added. She makes him a piece of armor, and while she's doing that, it jogs memories of him, and it goes to Order 60, the night of Order 66, the Jedi
and Temple. His escape from the temple.
Yeah, like, and clearly they want to make sure all the kids are safe, even though none of those kids were safe.
Yeah, none of them were.
But clearly this one's very important, you know.
Yep.
And he's on an elevator, he gets saved, and then there's a Jedi that helps him. And I was like, who? I'm like, is that somebody famous? I'm like, I feel like I know this guy who's playing him, this Jedi. And it has an awesome chase sequence throughout Coruscant. So we got to see Coruscant again. They clearly invested in Coruscant sets this season, with the last episode having tons and this one as well. Them showing how they basically got Grogu off the planet. And the Jedi is played by Ahmed Best.
Right.
And who's Ahmed Best famous for playing?
Jar Jar Binks.
Right.
Yeah. When I saw him, the way they revealed the character, you know that you're supposed to know something about him. He's not like, I mean, he's got like a big entrance or a dramatic entrance.
People were like, I don't know if anyone was like disappointed, but everyone had this like ridiculous, like, who saved Grogu? Like, it had to be this like monumental thing. Like, it was Obi-Wan, it was Yoda himself.
Right.
It was a one-armed Mace Windu. Like, everyone's like obsessed with thinking that Mace Windu is gonna come back in some more. It's like, no, Mace Windu was killed by Palpatine and Anakin. Like, I don't think he's coming back. Like, who knows? I doubt it. So he gets, and the cool thing though, it kind of ends with how it happens where like you see a Naboo, they get to a landing platform, you see guards that were from Naboo and the Naboo ship. It's like that sleek metal.
Yeah.
And they get on it. And what's his face gets on it too, right? Ahmed Best character gets on it. He survives. And it kind of ends there. So we don't know like what happens next. I would imagine they got to Naboo. Now there's a couple of theories that one, Jar Jar was a senator of Naboo. I don't know why anyone would make that guy a senator. But then again, we do have Senator Rand Paul.
True.
The Jar Jar Binks of the Senate. So
yeah, Jar Jar would actually be a middle of the road senator in our own Senate.
Yeah, he'd just be like Ted Cruz. No, not even. Yeah,
no, he'd be like the.
Cancel
He'd be like the second senator from a state that may be like 50-50, you know, a purplish state. He'd just be like some rando that like
woke.
Right. Accidentally stepping in the crap of the J6ers who like
yeah. Misa don't like it, Johnny. Woke.
Right.
That's a woka.
God. Well, so
the rumor is that maybe it's Jar Jar who saved him. The other rumor is that Palpatine, who was from Naboo, saved him, knowing that maybe that's a good specimen to keep alive.
Yeah.
Protect. Being that that's what the first episode was, and even the second season. I loved it in the second one when they did capture Grogu. Remember, he was being held, and like that person's like, "Yeah, I just need like a little blood sample. It's all good."
Yeah,
we didn't have to kill him. I'm just like, take a little blood. Thanks. That was it. All this work. I could have just done that there.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a flashback, and then Grogu gets like some armor. Again, it's just going under the little potato sack. He already has like the little chainmail. Now he's got a little armor. I think someone said like he has to wear like a helmet now, and they're like, no, he's too young or something. I'm just like, marketing's not going to allow that.
Well, they said
you can't cover that little raisin face.
He said that he's too young to speak, and you don't have to wear a helmet until you're old enough to speak the creed.
Yeah. So
we got a little while on this at least. But it's weird, like not to be like too serious about this show, but what if Baby Yoda doesn't want to be a Mandalorian? I mean, like, I don't know. I know he wants to stay.
It's like he didn't want to. It's like he didn't want to stay with Luke because he wanted to go back to his like dad or whatever he is.
Yeah.
And now his dad's like,
"You got to join my cult.
You're in a fucking cult now." He's like, "What? I was with this other guy, and he just had me like hop on stones."
Yeah.
Shit. Like talk about like new age bullshit. And you're now putting me in some weird ass QAnon cult.
Yeah, I mean, like
shooting the water like a bunch of morons.
Yeah, I mean, Grogu just wanted to like race around the galaxy with Mando, like just have a good time and like go do shit.
Food and
didn't want to like sit on the fucking beach and fight other kids like it's a bum fights or something. I mean, like
Chope and was it a boy fight?
Yeah, like
or Peacemaker's brother and him,
the
kid, and his dad made him do a pit fight.
Like the Armorer's got like a streaming kid fighting channel or something. I mean, like,
what are these cameras for?
So I don't know.
You think this armor's? You think this shit pays for itself, buddy?
I thought that was kind of a sad
property pays for itself.
Well, I think at some point you're probably going to see a conflict where it's like, where the Mandalorian, where Mando's going to have to make a choice. Do I choose to stay with this covert, or do I go with my kid? Like
he's not going to stay. Something's going to happen, and he's not going to stay because, one, it's like if you go by like the Western and everything like that, a character like that does not stay in one place. They never they move on from town to town. They go to different places. They don't just stay. And I just feel like something's going to happen, and he's going to leave.
Yeah,
or it's going to fall apart. I still don't. So back to so they save the kid. They have to like. They have to like. Bo-Katan's explaining what they would have to do and climb up these rocks. I love that big dude with the Gatling gun, and it's just like, I know that Gatling gun's awesome, but maybe just leave it here so you could climb better.
Pack light. Yeah.
I can't imagine that. That thing's got to be heavy as shit,
Oh, yeah.
Even the stunt double's probably like, oh, man, this prop's heavy as fuck, too. I mean, it's paper mache, but it's fucking heavy as hell.
Right.
They save it and love that there's these babies. And then other bird shows up and just like spits the kid out. And they're able to take it on. It's a big fight.
Yep.
And, then they knock it down into the water, and then that big alligator. So it goes back to episode 1 too. Jar Jar Binks is in this episode, or the guy who played it is that great line, and one of the best lines in episode 1 when they're going through the water that gets to the Naboo part. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was like the ocean or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And they get attacked by some sea creature, and then like this giant one comes, and they're like, "There's always a bigger fish."
There's always a bigger fish.
And it was just like that. That thing got eaten up, and then you're like watching, you're like, "Oh, they got the kid," but man, there was like 3 little babies.
Right.
And guess what?
The
ship lands, everyone gets off, and then you see 3 fucking baby.
They look like
new cute babies, gross ass pterodactyl babies.
Well, I'm assuming they're going to train them as mounts. They're going to
Yeah, I
learn
mean,
how
well,
to.
they said that like Mandalorians like are beast riders or some shit,
Yeah.
like the Avatar people, whatever. And because even like Boba Fett rides the Rancor, he's like, really, he's like, see that
Oh
Rancor?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm gonna ride that Rancor. We'll ride it good.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said that, right? He said like a bantha. Like a bantha. What a fucking weird line.
Yeah.
I always thought that was so bizarre. Like, I could see people hating this just from that. Like a bantha. You're like, hey man, Boba Fett's a sick ass character. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't, I don't really know. He's really mysterious and shit. Yeah. And he's got this rocket launcher. We don't really know much about him. And then it's like a bantha.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the Boba Fett I was thinking it was gonna be.
Yeah, it was a little
the mystique gets lost in the.
Yeah, I will admit that you're right. The Boba Fett was probably more for real fans of the show, like real fans. The show, the Boba Fett show.
Well, I think the problem is that real Boba Fett fans did not like Boba Fett. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Or I remember I left a tweet one time like, hey, how come Boba Fett's not acting like the tattoo on my arm of Boba Fett? I'm like, why isn't he doing that? It's kind of funny, man. That scene at the beach made me crack up. I don't know. I had to like, there's just like all these like people in like different Boba Fett outfits, and I was like, maybe this is like a little too much Boba Fett.
Yeah, I will say, the weird thing here, I think. Okay, so what is you have? Last week was called the Convert, and this week is the Foundling. It seems like, and you were about to say something about this a minute ago, that the Bo-Katan story is kind of like taking shape.
Well,
and
it's the great. So in her fight to say, because she led. Oh, that was the other great part, is because she was leading the party. And it's like time to eat, and she's like, well, what do we do? And it's like everyone's like, we got to go off to our own places to eat. It's so fucking weird and sad, actually.
It is,
it's horrible. I don't think it's a good, like, from a social aspect, it's terrible. How do you really connect with people if we're supposed to be wearing these masks, man?
Yeah,
I want to see your beautiful smiling faces.
I will say that's
sorry, like, look, like COVID. That was a little
right,
COVID-19 joke there, making fun of those people. But I mean, like, minus a brutal pandemic, you're sitting around the fire, and it's like, all right, it's time to eat. All right, everybody, just go off to your own places and make sure no one sees your face, or you're gonna have to go to the fucking planet and go into this water if you want to be welcomed back.
It is super weird that like look, I'm just riding with it because it's a science fiction show. It's the rules they say, whatever. But like, you wonder if they had it to do all over again. If was that really a super necessary plot point? Like,
well, I feel like that's where it could change, because like I said, it's like the same thing with like Hasidics, like having to wear these like ridiculously heavy coats and hats in the summertime of New York, and it's like, dude, you don't live in Poland in the 20s anymore. You don't have to do this, but it's in their culture and they do it. And but
that's a real religion based on real
people. The
and like
stuff is also kind of based off of like
nomadic folk and
everything like that. So basically, though, they're told Bo-Katan's like that one guy, that guy with the John Favreau voice, says to basically, well, you're the leader of the party, so you get to sit by the fire. And it's just kind of funny. She like takes the helmet off, and she's like, oh, I need to wash my face.
My pores are so clogged.
Yeah, like, oh god, I have to exfoliate. She's like sitting there eating by the fire, and it's kind of like, she probably thinks like this is a little ridiculous, but whatever, this is where she's at right now.
But it's weird because she was sitting alone in that castle, before, just recently.
Yeah, and now it's like
she's all in.
It's like, you gotta eat now, and it's like, oh no, we don't talk to each other. We all go. That's a really great way if like you don't like somebody in the Mandalorian, like if you're one of those group and you don't like someone, the best thing you can do is walk in on somebody with their
sneak up on them,
be like, that guy, I saw his face. He's
screenshot it,
buddy. You're out of
screenshot
here.
it, send it to everyone.
You're out. This guy's mask was off. He went up to me. He was like, "Hey, buddy, I don't care. I'm wearing this is my face now." I could totally like that'd be a good way to get rid of people.
Yeah, it just seems weird too that like the family structure of Mandalorians, like if you have a mom Mandalorian and a dad Mandalorian, and they're making a little Mandalorian, they just have like their helmets on the whole time, like even around the house.
Imagine
like
that during coitus, you should be able to take the helmet off.
I don't think so. That's not the way.
Oh God, that's gonna suck.
And they're like, what are they like? I mean, you got to figure like there could never be like locker rooms. Like there's no LA Fitness in the Mandalorian world because
they are on like a weird little desert planet right now.
Yeah,
or like they're not like a major city or anything. They're sitting there shooting the water like they're in Florida. So she gets like a piece of her armor knocked off. So when they bring back everyone, the armory person tells Bo-Katan to come in. You need a new piece, and she's like, "Well, I'd like to get. It's all about the house." And I forgot the name of her house, whatever.
It's like, the Night Owl.
Yeah. And they're like, "Well, I would like to can I get a second one?" And she's like, "Well, what is it?" And it's like the mythosaur. And the lady's like, "Well, the mythosaur belongs to all of us, even though that's got a mythosaur on him." That thing. And so she's like, "We can all, you can add that to you." And she gets that new armor in the end. And I love it when she tells him, like, "Oh, I saw the mythosaur." And it's like, "Oh, you're being part of this group. You see all kinds of
right.
You're like, "No, I really saw it." And I bet she's even like, "Bitch is lying." Yeah. I love when she tells her that. It's like, yeah, you're just a little close to that mythosaur now that you took the creed. It's like being part of a cult or whatever. It's like, I saw Xenu. Yeah,
right.
We're on the 10th level, so you get to see the Xenu now.
Did you notice that when Baby Yoda got his armor, it had Mando's sigil on it?
Oh yeah,
it's the Mudhorn
thing, right? Yeah. Well, that's that's their creed or whatever the hell.
The House of Two, yeah.
Two. So I mean, I like this episode a lot. Got a lot. If you like Baby Yoda, this is your episode. Lots of Baby Yoda stuff. Open revelations. Awesome chase scene and Coruscant. It's always fun.
Great Ahmad Best cameo.
Great monster effects in this episode.
Oh yeah.
The baby. If you're like, I need more baby animals, but I want them bigger and grosser.
Yep.
This is your episode. You got 3 nasty baby.
You were heard.
Dinosaur things that I'm sure are gonna do all kinds of funny shit in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
You were heard. You were not forgotten.
It was a great episode, and I can't believe they fit all that in 31 minutes.
It's a shorter episode, but it's crammed with all that gram. I mean, it's a solid episode. I have no idea where the season's going.
That's the thing. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of it's what's going to happen with Bo-Katan, right? Like, is she is she gonna like? Well, the armory person's like, it's like I guess you would say it's a matriarchy, right? I mean, she's like the leader. She's the leader or the rule keeper or whatever.
She's like the de facto leader, but like, I don't know. I could almost see like Bo-Katan just usurping her, and she would just be like, "Well, this is the way,"
Well, that's it. Is that
weapons? It's like, I'm not really.
There is no leader
following the rules, but I could see her coming in and taking over and then changing the rules and shit, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I don't know how many is it only 8 episodes? If it is,
that is a good question. It looks like 8 episodes. So we are halfway through.
Yeah. I don't know what to expect this season.
Well, and then the next episode is directed by Peter Ramsey, who I don't know too much about. I guess he directed Into the Spider-Verse, co-directed Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that could be cool then.
And then we got a Bryce Dallas Howard episode. And then that guy whose name I can never pronounce, Rick Famuyiwa, who's directed a ton of the really good ones. So Bryce Dallas Howard has directed a few good ones.
She did some good ones too. I think she did that awesome one. pretty sure she's the one who directed that episode with Mando on the space station in the with Boba Fett show.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And she did the Bo-Katan episode, the first Bo-Katan episode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm curious to like where it'll go. And like you said, yeah, it's interesting. It's like, well, Grogu, does he want to be part of this too? It's like maybe he doesn't want to do any of this shit. Maybe he just wants to be a kid and like, you know, he's like, listen, I'm fucking 50 years old, man. You know, this is my youth, you know, and like I'm just like learning to say like gibberish, you know.
Yeah.
It's like this is like I gotta sow my wild oats soon, you know. I gotta like start smoking space sticks or death sticks, whatever that shit is, you know. Start experimenting.
I would imagine that at some point too, that storyline with like the former Empire people being assimilated into the New Republic, that's going to converge with what's going on.
I'm assuming we'll get some pirate shit too.
Yeah.
In the previews, there was an awesome scene where clearly he needs to do something and go somewhere to get like a robot thing. And the joke is, it's like an inverse of the cantina from the first movie, where it's an actual bar for droids.
Oh, that's funny.
That was in the preview that they released, and I remember like that. I was like, "Oh, that's really funny." It's like an inverse of like, because droids were not allowed in the bar in the first movie. Like they were like, "No droids allowed," and I'm like, "Here's a droid bar."
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. What do they drink? Oil.
Like, oil. Brando. The whole this is a great show. It's kind of weird. There's not like a ton on right now. I'm kind of like, I rewatched The Bear, which was an amazing show. I thought
Succession comes back.
Yeah,
it's the last season too.
Yep, I've watched that. Crazy. Oh, Yellow Jackets back.
Yellow Jackets comes back too.
Yeah.
Part of me like I want to watch it, but part of me like almost wants to just like wait till a bunch of them are on and then watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, I may do that with Yellow Jacket. I don't know. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with Yellow Jackets. I started watching this show on Sci-Fi called The Ark.
No, I didn't. I have no idea. I don't have Sci-Fi, so I've watched every episode, so I can't say I don't like it. It's like it's a sci-fi show. You can tell it was made in Canada in association with like Bulgaria or something. You always like notice the same like 6 character actors that are in like every sci-fi production that's from Canada. There's like always like specific actors, and they're in all the like if it's in Canada, these motherfuckers are going to be in it.
Yep. And but it's got some cool plot twists, and I kind of like it. So anyway, the Mandalorian is like the big thing I'm watching right now.
Well, right now we're watching a show called Swarm on Amazon.
Oh, is that good? Yeah, I've heard that. It's like a Beyonce horror movie.
It's pretty crazy. And did you watch part 2 yet of The Glory?
No, I haven't. Is that good?
I mean, you saw part 1. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. I
liked it. It gets a little like a couple episodes. It's like a little convoluted, but like the last episode's really good. Wraps up. Like I don't want to spoil anything, but
does it have a good payoff?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Everything comes together. If you can watch it. We can talk about it on the show.
Yeah, I'll watch that this week.
I liked it. I'm trying to think of what else is there right now. There was something else recently. Another show.
Did you ever watch The Bear? That show on?
No, I just didn't get into
good.
it. I don't know. It reminds me of these other shows. Maybe I'll think about it.
It's real good.
Like I have a $300 knife, but I live in a shoebox. You know,
it's a little different, but yeah, it's a great show.
I like that you said that one guy who was in The Bear was in the Andor. The guy who was to be a scumbag.
Yeah, he even something. He was great in The Bear, and he was great in Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so,
he was also
not Mandalorian, Andor.
He was also in The Punisher. That guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think the first season.
Cool.
No. All right, so yeah, I guess we'll talk about real stuff now versus stuff with puppets and potato sacks. I will before I end it up, like I said, I don't think it's a bad idea to give by the end of the season, give Grogu a new outfit. Like it's almost like they use his outfit as a way to make him more of a puppet and less of a CGI character. Because you know the big thing is like the walking thing, right? And if you have like a puppet, it's like you don't have to like show like these perfect legs moving. It's like
I would say if you can put him in like an Adidas tracksuit or
yeah, like the tracksuit mafia from Hawkeye.
Give him a Kangol cap, you know, like the kind of like an inverted bucket cap. Yep. That would work. They'll have to be careful with it though.
Or dress him up like Tiger King.
There you go. They had a great piece of art with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Good one, yeah.
Cool, thanks. Or dress him up as another Star Wars character you like. You know, just like dress him up as like your favorite Star Wars character.
Yeah.
He wears like, you know, that awesome outfit that Luke wears in the end of Star Wars. I love it. I always like want in the comics he'd wear that and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like his great costume. I'm like, I would have pretty wore that instead of like a little fucking pajamas he wears through that movie. He wears this awesome yellow jacket with black shirt, and it's like full on, like kind of like a not Han Solo, but like a little more badass outfit. And I was like, you never wore that.
I saw a great clip of Mark Hamill on like Jimmy Kimmel or some show recently, and he was talking about how he was reminiscing about filming Star Wars with Harrison Ford, and he said after they shot the trash compactor scene, they were doing the next scene, and he pulled Lucas aside, and he was like, "Shouldn't my hair be all like wet and with like shit in it and stuff?" And Harrison Ford pulled Mark Hamill aside and said, "Look, kid, it ain't that kind of movie.
We're making a piece of shit here, kid."
He said, "If they're looking at your hair, then we got bigger problems than just."
Yeah, I mean, I get the continuity.
Yeah, no, I think
I like that Mark Hamill has these like things, like even like when he filmed like Last Jedi, he's like, I talked to Ryan Johnson, and I was like, why is my character like this?
Right.
What the fuck happened? This isn't Luke.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway,
I have this great idea, guys. Before we move on, got this great idea.
Okay.
What if we take a character that everybody's wanting to see
forever?
The last time he made an appearance in film was 1983. We haven't seen him, and now he's older, and we're getting Luke back. What do you want?
Original actor.
Yep. Original actor. It ended on an awesome moment in episode episode 7 or whatever.
Yep.
Where he's like in the more Jedi robes. What do we do with them? I have an idea. Let's make him fucking miserable, and he doesn't give a shit, and he hates everything, and he could give a fuck about the Force.
Yeah,
he doesn't really train Rey. Just kind of fucks with her, bitch.
Just a crazy choice.
I have an idea. She hands him the lightsaber, and he looks at it, and he goes, "Hey, you know that last movie that was all about the lightsaber?
Yeah.
Well, I'm literally throwing it away." I thought it was kind of funny when I first saw it, but it's like symbolic. It's like I'm literally taking that whole ass movie and just
chucking it. That's funny.
I don't give a fuck here.
Oh well. All right. Well, this will be an awkward transition because
speaking of
poor decisions, we're at the 20th anniversary of the Iraq War.
Yeah, there was like a couple of days ago was like the first bombing of Iraq. And we were there. You know, it's like, I don't know. I guess like during the Obama years, it kind of waned out a bit, right? Like,
well, is it the 20th or the 30th? It can't be the 20th.
No, it's not the 30th, dude.
Yeah, Iraq
started in 2003. It was 2003 when it started.
Yeah, you know what? In my head, I conflated the Persian Gulf War with the Iraq War. Yeah, so that's what happened there briefly.
It was 2000. It was 2003. It basically started after 9/11. They were already like, they waited a couple months to really start pushing it. They used all of 2002 to scare everyone by saying,
right.
Code
Well,
Orange
yellow cake, uranium, and we were getting these.
You're gonna have to duct tape your windows. You're gonna have to. Yeah, that's right. They're gonna come to your town of 4,000 people, and they're gonna blow up the Dairy Queen.
That's when you started hearing like dirty bombs, and you were like, if you might see a truck driven by a Middle Eastern,
there was a bag left by, like they just played in everyone's fear.
Yeah,
and they were like, oh yeah, you remember that guy Saddam? You remember Saddam? He's wanted to 9/11. You guys said it was Osama. You got to go after him. Yeah. So remember Saddam did that? Remember Saddam?
Yeah.
He would I remember like Fox News, like, or when they would show like a painting on the wall in Iraq, and it was like 9/11. I was like, that doesn't mean they did it. That could be anywhere. Like, do you see the shitty painting on a mural on a wall?
It was. I remember too, because like the ones I remember the most are obviously Rumsfeld and Cheney and Rice with a big. I mean, George W. Bush obviously was in that mix, but like I just remember how galling it was to see Condoleezza Rice say like no one could have foreseen this happening, when she literally had a report on her desk saying like, hey, heads up, this could happen. And all of those people, I mean, maybe not all of them, but a lot of those people walked away enriched from that. I think Condoleezza became like a chancellor at Stanford.
Oh yeah, those people were rich before the administration started, and they got richer after it. They didn't pay any.
Not only did they get richer, but they got respect.
Yeah, they paid no consequences. Like I remember, like in the end of towards the end of the Bush administration, like Condoleezza Rice was on an episode of fucking 30 Rock.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that's the thing that
you were forming this person. The media,
I know they're going to be rich.
The media, yeah, I know what you mean. Like they should be like shunned and like sent to the second, like the freaking darkest corners of the earth.
Have shoes thrown at them.
Yeah, well, literally, Bush did get a shoe thrown on him, even though he died.
But that's like 1 out of 5.
Yeah, imagine that connected. That would have been sick. That shoe
been hilarious.
That would have been so fucking funny. Even if it just hit like his shoulder, just like
Anywhere. His little dodge was
that was pretty funny actually though. He's like, I love this game. It's like, dude, this is not the first time someone threw a shoe at you. You're a little too good at this. Like, I feel like Laura has probably thrown a shoe at him a couple of times.
Or Mama Barb. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. He probably threw a meat cleaver at him. So yeah, I mean, the war was a complete fucking lie. Let me tell you, I don't know where were you living at the time when it happened? Were you in Florida?
Well, yeah, because I had just moved to Florida right before 9/11.
Let me tell you, I was living in Long Island, and I was working at this place in Long Island, and it was very conservative. Everybody there, it's like Long Island, so it was like everybody there like either was pro-Iraq war or very like very ambivalent. Shit.
Well,
and I was like probably the only one that was like, this is such a bad idea.
I remember a lot of my liberal and progressive friends being pro-Iraq war. Frankly, I mean, I do.
Well, it was brainwashing. And the thing is, like, everybody, like, and I was like, how, like, this is a bad idea. Like, this makes no sense.
If you had some, and this is just my 20 years later reminiscing, I remember being against it because I was really against the Persian Gulf War happened when I was in college. I was never in any danger of being drafted, but like 20
I was like 12 or 13. I was 13, I think, when it
like
happened.
19, 20-year-old me at the time thought I was in danger of getting drafted. So I was like pretty against the war. My dad was super against Vietnam. Like, it just kind of runs in my family. So I was like,
the Desert Storm was a weird war. It was over in like a month. It was very strange. There was a ton of marketing, man. I remember like they had G.I. Joe toys when I was a kid.
Well, that's when like CNN was starting to be a big thing. I mean,
it was like heavily promoted. Like, Stomps this bad guy. It's like joke is like a couple of years before that we were working with them.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long
we were
ago.
Yeah,
and they said like Iraq was always like kind of like it wasn't perfect. But it was like a more secular nation actually, where people could actually get wealthy. Like there's somewhere it's like you can't break your station. And Iraq was like supposedly one of the rare countries in the Middle East where it was like, you could actually succeed. You could.
Yeah.
It had like the oldest museum in the world there. It was complete. We destroyed
Well,
it.
that's where
We
they
destroyed it.
wrote like honestly the for like Christians and well any of the Abrahamic religions, they believe that Adam and Eve were living in Iraq. They think
Yeah.
that's where it happened, and that's where they wrote Gilgamesh, the one like the oldest written work in
And
history.
that's
Like,
where that fucking those scumbags who own Hobby Lobby,
yeah,
they basically bought stolen property from that museum. And
yeah,
they got caught. I don't know if I think they had to give it back or something, but like so much shit was stolen. And like, okay, so we went in there. First of all, everyone like it was I hate it. Like you and my dad, like I argued with my dad. It was weird. Like my dad was like, I don't say he was like 100% gung ho with it, but he wasn't like against it. It
right,
was weird. My family, like I was the only one, and like I go to those. I went to a bunch of protests there. I went to a bunch of like a really big one in New York. It was insane. It was like my first major protest, and I just been like, it was like everyone I knew was like, I had some friends who were like straight up conservative, so like that wasn't going anywhere.
yeah,
I love all these people who claim they're like anti-war now when it comes to like Russia with Ukraine.
yeah,
All those motherfuckers would be supporting the Iraq war.
yeah.
100%. They would have been
Well,
100% supporting the Iraq war.
I do remember, and I think if you and again, I'm kind of remembering back from 20 years ago. I know for a fact I had multiple progressive liberal friends, like straight up reliable liberals, like that would do the work, and they were pretty supportive of the Iraq war initially, and later they came out and said they were against it and
I thought it
whatever.
was bad from the start, and
Yeah, no, I did
didn't.
too, but it was more of a knee-jerk reaction on my part. I just didn't like wars, so
Well,
I was
I knew it
against
was
it.
bullshit because I knew that they were liars. I knew they were a lying administration. I knew they were full of crap.
Yeah,
They didn't do anything about Afghan. They didn't do anything about Osama bin Laden. They let him go away.
yeah,
We were told he was the one who did it, and they never got him. Obama got him like 10 years later. It was like the weirdest thing. And it was I did not like that time period. My wife was against it. That we were just started
yeah,
dating like a year or two before that, and so thankfully it wasn't like something that strained our relationship or anything.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? And I'll be honest with you, like after 9/11 happened, like I hated Bush. I voted against him. 2000, the idea of him as president, like
Yeah,
I knew they stole the election in
yep.
2000.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I was adamantly against it, but like he I was like, listen, he's the fucking president, and he went on that hill and he said, that mound of rubble, and he said, I
yeah.
hear you, and we're gonna
He
get those people that did this. And I was like, well, I mean, he's the fucking
he
president.
did fine after he did optically really well right
He had like a
post
90%
9/11.
approval rating. The
Yeah.
guy was untouchable for years. I don't think people realize that. Like how much that's why, like, as much as Trump sucked, he was kind of like a gift too, because there was a sharp divide, and there was like a ton of people that did not like, you just disrespected him, and
Yeah.
he deserved it. But with Bush, it was like people were afraid on so
Yeah.
many levels, all media, everything. They would not question him. I remember Art
Well,
Fleischer said that thing like a week or two
oh
after,
yeah, watch
like,
what you
now's not
say.
the
Yeah.
time. You don't question him. This is not it. And the media went 100% behind him. All of
Yeah.
them. Any dissenting kind of voices were fired or not invited back on. They would let what was it, like MTV? I remember did like a special one time about the anti-war, and they have like the Gyllenhaals be about them, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
you were being told that like this Iraq war was like, you would see like working class kids from the middle of the country being sent off to war. Those are the real Americans. Those are the pro-war. And then you have these little rich kids who claim, they would do bullshit and try to anything they could to destroy the peace movement by saying like, oh, these are people who don't work. These people don't care about America. These people, and it's like, dude, you're being conned. You're
Yeah.
being sent off to this war. I still remember seeing like babies being like 18-year-old kids. That's when you
Oh
start seeing
yeah.
like women in the military a lot. You see these like young women too who saw fucking physical battle, and they came back and they were fucking missing limbs, missing eyes,
Yeah.
permanently damaged, disease, everything. And it was like it wasn't even just like, okay, so we went in there and bombed it. It's the destabilization of the country where Rumsfeld was like, fuck it. Let it all destabilize. And then the war lasted like another decade. And it just got worse and worse every year. And I just remember like the media was so in bed with the Bush administration.
Oh, they were literally embedded. I mean, that was like a term. Like, I'm embedded with the.
They'd have like old generals on, and it was just nonstop propaganda. And it was like, this, I don't feel safe with this country. Had nothing to do with 9/11.
Yeah.
And I remember getting an argument with my dad, and I said, all this is going to do is create more terrorists.
Oh yeah.
Or what we deem as terrorists. I mean, like if we came and we blow up and kill and you're like one of the only surviving members of your family.
Yeah, come on.
Of course, we're the great Satan. They're showing footage of people like throwing people on the side of a water bottle. Like, we literally just blew up all your infrastructure.
Yeah,
I mean, it was pretty running grotesque. Water for the next decade. Here's a bottle of water.
Well, I know that today, like even today, when I'm on Twitter or wherever I'm, there's like certain people, like a lot of people hated Trump. A lot of liberals, progressives hated Trump, but there's a certain type of liberal or progressive that thinks Bush is 10 times worse than Trump. And
well, I think they're both like. If it wasn't for COVID, I would think that Bush would still I still think Bush is the worst president of the United States. Like, COVID is basically showed like how horrible. Like, I don't know how Bush would react to COVID. I have no idea.
I'll bet he'd be competent. I think that's the thing.
I don't know. I don't think it would blow up like it did. I have no idea. I don't know.
I think when you're talking about like best or worst or whatever type of president, you got to look at like what you're evaluating. Like
Bush Trump was the worst. Bush is the worst.
Bush may have been the most evil, but Trump was like the least competent.
He was just a selfish boob. I mean, the only thing that you would say he's the worst is that he put nobody in positions. They were like positions that were never filled. It was like unfunctioning government for 4 years.
That's why I say Trump is worse. It just as like competency. Like Trump was like, it
just depends on what you consider like
it's what you're measuring.
Acts, but I would say Bush probably the worst because we were supposed to like, this was the turn of the century. We were supposed to like get clean energy. We were supposed to do all that. And he was the worst president to have at the time because it was like, nope, we're not going to advance in society. Nope, we're going to push religious doctrine in this country. All the crazy shit you see the MAGA chos do, it all stems to Bush.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Like, it's funny, you hear like the chuds and stuff say all kinds of crazy shit about Trump and everything like that. It's not much different than the stuff they would say when Bush was president. Like, I would hear all kinds of insanity. I remember watching like The Real World. This is like one of the last seasons I watched. And they had this one guy, this young black guy, and he was the one anti-war guy. This was like in 2004, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So we're already like a year into this. And I remember there was like douchey frat guys, and there was one douche guy who's like, they killed 4,000 of our people. And I'm like, well, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, there's so many things wrong here, but like, what it wasn't 4,000. Like crack. But I'm like, that guy was the norm.
Yeah, it was. Like, that's true.
That's why it's like, wait, you think QAnon, like, oh, it's crazy. QAnon's so nuts. I mean, it's nuts, but like, I'm not shocked that people easily fall for it.
Yeah, QAnon though is a different thing. Like it is kind of insane to believe Condoleezza Rice and George Bush when like they're telling you things that are demonstrably untrue. But QAnon is like JFK Jr. Is this homeless guy.
All right, maybe an example is like Trump's going to build a wall.
Yeah, right.
Really, you really think he's going to build a wall? And if like you think we have the infrastructure for that? Like, is it worth doing for that? Like, we probably could come up with better systems. Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many conspiracies. Like, the Iraq war itself was a conspiracy. The idea of like there being weapons of mass destruction, and like I remember like a year into the war, and like Bush did some like press corps dinner or whatever, and he's like laughing about it. Like, they did like a video of like, here's me looking for those weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
And this is when like body bags are already coming back. And we're not even talking like millions of Iraqis that were killed or displaced. because most of the people in this country don't give a shit about that. So you got to talk to them about on their level, be like, we're talking American soldiers, like they're coming back, they're in body bags. They were hiding the bodies. They were hiding. It got so bad they were hiding.
I remember that
no one could see the graves. No one could see not the grave, but the caskets coming back.
Every once in a while you'd see an image of like caskets being put on a plane, and then like you wouldn't see the image again. And like it
was a fucking meat grinder.
Yeah.
And it was all based on a lie, multiple lies. Like you watched in 2002 when they were like, all right, how do we package this? Well, we can't really say that Saddam caused 9/11 because it could be easily like disputed. And we're trying to get as many people on our side. And then it's like they kind of ended with the bullshit Iraqi freedom. Like, well, we're free. We're gonna give that. They're gonna have democracy, and they were like all these scumbags, like neocons and all them. They were on TV, and they were like, "The war will pay for itself."
Yeah, I
remember the oil we're gonna get.
The freedom dividend.
Yeah, the freedom. Yeah, and they would have like that bullshit mock election like a year into it. I don't know if you remember. Like they would show like the person with the purple finger, like they voted. It's like, well, what were they even fucking voting for? I mean, like, it's so stupid. I mean, like, it was a society, it was a country that had, like, I remember Michael Moore posted like a picture before and after. I think this was even before Desert Storm, and showing before and after, just like a bustling street, a normal city. You would think it was anywhere in the United States. And then it showed you the next scene, what it looked like after we bombed it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and people in this country, they'll be like, they live like animals anyway. They're not like us where we have those Shoney's everywhere. They don't got a Shoney's. We got a Shoney's and a what's that one that starts with a P? Pompadour? No, what's it called?
Ponderosa. Ponderosa, yeah. Golden Corral.
They don't got no Ponderosa in Iraq.
Not a Buc-ee's in sight.
No Piggly Wiggly. They're savages.
Well,
now let's go mudding. Let's go shoot the water. Let's go to the river and shoot the water.
Well,
like a Mandalorian, like a Floridian. Oh, that's I forgot to talk about in the that episode of the Mandalorian is actually called the Floridian.
The Floridian. I would, the Iraq War was a disaster.
They don't know what it's like to have real freedom. They don't know.
It's still real bad over there. To be honest. It's like
we fucking bombed them into the Stone Ages. We destroyed the oldest museum. Like, it is one of the worst moments in the United States history.
Yeah. Well, it's up there with Vietnam, for sure.
It rivaled Vietnam. It lasted longer than Vietnam. Like, that was the thing we'd hear about Vietnam growing up, how bad Vietnam was, and it was bad, and how long it lasted. But my God, Iraq War was still going.
Yeah.
And then the Afghanistan War, it was crazy. I remember when like Joe Biden ended it. It was a 20-year war, and he's like, "We're done." And I remember all the Republicans are like, I don't even know. They didn't even have like a coherent message. I don't even.
They're still just like
they just wanted to. They were just shitting on him. Yeah, they
said it was woke.
And the joke was that it was supposed to actually end under Trump. Trump was the one who set it all up.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know. The Iraq War was bullshit. It was a horrible war. Really, like, it made me like question everything about like this country. It happened at like an age where like I was like in my early 20s, and that's really I've always kind of been like left leaning, like never was political. I didn't know shit,
Right.
And I voted for like Clinton in 96. I think that was that the first time? That was the first time I could vote, was in 96.
Okay.
19. No, how old was I? 20? I don't know. Yeah. In 96, I would have been 19.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I voted for him, and I voted for Gore. I remember George W. And I said this. I remember I was working at like Truman. I was talking to this guy there. This was during the 2000 election. I said, "This is what's going to happen. This motherfucker's going to get in because people are going to think they're voting for his dad.
Yeah, well.
And I said, we're going to have a recession and we're going to go to war with Iraq.
Yeah.
And I'm not some Nostradamus. It's just
no, I mean, that was like reasonably predictable.
It's like, this is like, these are easily predictable things. Like, this is all stuff that happened under his father. And he literally had the same people working for him that his dad
He did. He had his dad's administration, basically.
Pretty much. Dick Cheney worked for his dad. Yep. And the joke is they were all just products of Nixon. They all go back to Nixon too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Iraq War, like, and so that's a good transition.
Yeah.
Say that Donald Trump is a perfect symptom of the Iraq War in that I could see now Republicans were going to vote for him no matter what. People who supported the Iraq War. I'm talking about like a small percentage of people, and by small percentage, we're still talking like probably a couple million people that probably were anti-Iraq War, or maybe not right away, but they became it. And they started not trusting the media because of how in bed the media was with the administration and selling the Iraq War and selling the lie. And, so they probably like fell down like some conspiracy rabbit holes that probably were more grounded in like truths. Like there's good conspiracies like, hey, maybe the Hinckley family. It's odd that the guy who shot Reagan came from one of the biggest donor families of George Bush, and it happened so quickly into Reagan's administration. That's strange. Good conspiracies like that.
There's some logical.
An underground child factory in the basement of a pizza place. The pizza place doesn't have a basement. That's what the Jews want you to think.
Exactly.
Or like the moon is hollow. Like, why is that a thing? Why is it hollow?
Yeah. So, some just have no like logic to that.
And if it was, who cares? It's like even like the 9/11 conspiracies where it's like, I believe that the Bush administration knew it was going to happen, and they kind of let it did. Now, there's other theories where it got a little crazier, where it's like, okay, there were bombs in the building.
Right.
And then there's the crazy one about, I don't understand why 93 is a crazy one. I remember watching the news, and they said they shot down the plane, and because there was no debris in the ground.
That honestly, like, that makes sense to me, but like I don't know. I mean, like,
you had planes. You had planes that already hit the building, and here's this last one that's not coming down.
Yeah,
of course we shot it down. Like how?
Yeah, like why wouldn't you?
I mean, like that doesn't. I don't think that's a crazy conspiracy. And then the Pentagon one's an odd one.
Yeah,
it was like the hole, and there's no footage.
Yeah,
like that's a strange one. But then you get into real crazy tab, and they're like, the planes were holograms.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, all right, this is where it's this is like Nutville. Like this is where this is
where I get off.
JFK Jr. was flying that plane. It gets a little, this is where I get off now. But like people fell down that rabbit hole and they watched InfoWars and probably stuck with it. And this is years before Alex Jones came out as a full-on right-wing.
Right. Plan. He was just normal. He was quirky before.
Well, he was still pushing like, anti-Semitic trope, like the Rothschilds and all these, like he was pushing that for decades. Like, these evil like families that control everything, and they just happen to be Jews. It's like they have their hands in everything. They're the puppet masters. I mean, like he's been pushing that shit for ever.
A while, yes.
But like he became a full-on like, he then tricks you into voting for Trump. Yeah. Like people that would never vote Republican are now voting for this guy. And like, no, he's not Republican. He's like, and like Trump said he was against the Iraq War, and that's not true. He supported it until like probably like a couple of months later after it, he was like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, Trump's really good at reading the room. Most of the time. Most of the time.
He's an opportunist. Like, this Iraq War is actually, people are starting to say it's not popular, but it's early enough for me to look like I care. So it's like, you see the water temperatures changing. and you're putting your foot in as if you're like the hero, but it's actually fine. You know what I mean? Like
he sees life hands him lemons, like 9/11, but he makes
9/11.
lemonade.
9/11.
Like now I have the tallest building. You know,
Yeah, he
like,
said that literally
yeah,
like that day. Like there's video recording him going, well, you know.
Now I guess they're saying
Some people would say that what kind of psychopath would bring that up after 3,000 New Yorkers were killed in one of the worst tragedies ever happened in the country, where people are swallowing PCPs and other kinds of fucking chemicals that should not be ingested, getting lymphoma, lymphoma, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but I just wanted to use this opportunity as a time to tell you that I have a tallest building in the
right. Oh, dick. So we'll make a hard transition here. All week I've been standing at the end of a long field, racing confidently towards a football held by a small girl with black hair, and
she's wearing like a light blue dress
yep. She keeps telling me that Trump's about to be arrested, but right when I'm about to kick the football, she yoinks it up, and then I somersault
360 flip
clumsily.
You should become like paralyzed after falling
without the grace of Grogu, and then I land on my back and I say rats, because they've been saying Trump's
going to blockhead.
Every morning I wake up and look at Twitter to see if Trump's been indicted.
I think that's done. I don't think it's ever going to happen. If it didn't happen that day, and then when it does happen, it'll just come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it'll just come out of nowhere. You'll be like, wait, what? You know, it's like when the FBI
announces that
it came out of nowhere. You didn't. And it's probably smarter, honestly, the idea of like arresting him and then him going on making a big announcement so he can like rile up all the idiots and like try to commit like a countrywide January 6th. I mean, the sad reality of the truth is, and that's why I think he's waning. I don't think that would happen. I don't think anyone really gives a shit. Like there were like some protests in some areas, and my favorite, the Good Liars, went to one. It was like outside of like an In-N-Out in like California.
Yeah, I saw this one. Yeah,
5 or 10 people there. You know what I mean? Like I think people are tired of him, especially he's running, but not really. And it's like, I think people just don't care. Like they're tired of him. The mystique is done.
He's beating Ron. Look, the polls have been consistent over the last month. There's only been 2 people with a reasonable shot, like DeSantis and Trump. And for a while, Meatball Ron was polling ahead of Trump. But over the last month or 2, Trump has been gaining and now like consistently outperforms Meatball Ron. Trump's the front runner.
Now, this is based on Republican primary voters, right?
Republican primary voters.
Now, remember that I think only like a little over 20% of the country claims they're Republican.
Yeah, that is true.
And if you don't live in an open primary state, you can't vote on who the Republican primary, nominee is.
Yeah, so, in some states, yes, you're right. You can.
If they are specifically polling Republican primary voters, I still don't think that represents a huge portion of this country. I think, those are the diehards. Those are the 30% that will vote for Trump if he ran, or any other Republican that would run. Like a little turd could run. I mean, it would be if Trump won, or DeSantis, it would be a turd.
An actual meatball.
An actual meatball falling out of an old can of Chef Boyardee. So, like, not even like a real meatball, like one of those, like mostly sand.
Oh, remember Franco-American SpaghettiOs with meatballs, and the meatballs were
they were like rubber.
And they were like so small. They're disgusting.
Yeah, like what is this? What is this for? Who is this?
Yeah.
What am I? A little green foot tall muppet in a potato sack? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, Trump is consistently outperforming everyone else in the Republican Party. I agree with you. I think.
What about Nikki Haley? She's really
she was at like I'm not even kidding. It was like she was at 1%.
Our polling is getting really good. Oh yeah, what are we at? 0.75.
Yeah, it was
0.7. Oh wait, never mind. We're back to 0.5.
Okay, here
What
was
about
the
Christine
latest.
Home? She might run, right?
Yes, but here's the latest, and this I've seen this over and over again. Trump is at 46, DeSantis is at 32, Nikki Haley's at 5, Pence 3, Cheney 2, Cruz 2, Nome 1, Pompeo
Ted Cruz
1.
is on there.
Yep. Tim Scott 1, and Sununu 1.
Wow.
And in the
Tight race.
in the general election, they poll it as Biden 49, Trump 45, Biden 47, DeSantis 46. But it's not going to matter because I do agree DeSantis Biden would be a tighter race. Actually, it'd be a pretty tight race.
I think it would be because they could sell him. Like I said, it gives Republicans a pass.
Yeah.
He'll do everything and worse, and no one's going to believe any of the stuff all the horrible stuff that comes out in Florida. Like, it won't make it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, actually, here's a great one. I'm going to read this. I think I sent this to you. This was Trump from his Truth Social. It's like this is
great.
This is what he's doing. What the fucking Democrats should have did in 2020. I mean,
Biden should hire Trump as a writer.
Well, yeah, Trump. Remember after the what was it, the State of the Union? Trump like congratulated him, said he did an amazing job.
Yeah, Trump's a weirdo. He's
like forgets sometimes that like, oh yeah, I'm not an everyday person that can just leave comments on Twitter or whatever. I actually have to like be a political animal, and but then again, in a way he is being a political animal because he's trashing DeSantis. So he goes, well, David Jolly, he's kind of like one of those
old school Republican.
Is he like he's a former Republican. Is he like one of those Lincoln Party bullshit things?
I don't think he's Lincoln Party, but he came out against Trump a while back.
Like 26 early on, I think even during the 2016 election.
I've seen him on a bunch of shows where
he's an MSNBC media guy.
Yeah.
You know,
he's the kind of guy where I'm like, look, if there's a bunch of Republicans like him, I'd still disagree with him vehemently. I'd do everything I could to keep him out of office. But like, I think that they're on the level. I think they probably believe what they say they believe.
They're still against giving children free lunches.
But they might be like, we want to give children free lunches, but they should be really crappy. Like they should be
ketchup's a vegetable. Yeah, that's not good either.
No, but like I think that's it as a distinction.
We want to be food that will shorten their life by 10 years.
We want them to be ostracized. Want them to...
the food has to say free on it. It comes in like a wet paper bag.
A wet paper bag that says poor meal or something like.
Yeah. He goes, this is the message many have failed to deliver, but Trump uniquely can. Florida is now the least affordable state in the country. Education ranks poorly. There's an insurance crisis. Guns are on the rise. And DeSantis' unsteady COVID strategy led to a significant loss of life. So Trump writes on his Truth Social, remember, I left that decision up to the governors. For COVID death rates per state at Ron de Homo, Dainty Ron de Sanctimonious, Ron DePito, as some would call him. I don't know. Some people are saying. I'm adding all that. As governor, Florida did worse than New York in education. Florida ranks among the worst in the country on crime statistics. All right, I'll read it normal. Florida ranks. I just sound the same. Florida ranks third worst in murder, third worst in rape, and third worst in aggravated assault. For 2022, Jacksonville was ranked as one of the top 25 major crime cities in the country, with Tampa and Orlando not doing much better. On education, Florida ranks 39 in health and safety in the country, 50 in affordability, and 30 in education and childcare. Hardly greatness there. The fact is, Ron is an average governor, but the best by far in the country in one category, public relations, where he easily ranks number one. That's because Fox News is 100% behind.
Yeah.
But it is all a mirage. Just look at the facts and figures. They don't lie, and we don't want Ron as a president. Like, I don't think Trump wrote these.
No, clearly not. I mean, I
mean, like, I wish that wasn't from Trump, but I think it adds weight because it is from him. And it's funny because he's like the reason why all the right wingers are flocking to Florida, because he's made Florida like his, he hasn't lived in New York in years. And clearly there's a reason because he might get
Yeah,
he's not going to stay there, and he's
because
making
there's a
Mar-a-Lago's
bolo.
and Mar-a-Lago's in Florida, so
Because
he's
they have
kind
a
of,
special orange alert that they put on
yeah.
the interstates. Like,
So like Florida Ron DeSantis land, or is it really Trump land? And that's a
well,
good, I think Ron DeSantis, people vote for him because he's Trump adjacent, but I started to see a lot of right wingers come out against DeSantis, especially like in media ones, because he was interviewed recently and he kind of like said something about Trump. He was asked about the whole Stormy Daniels thing, and he said something about like how he doesn't need to like worry about paying off a stripper. And that's when Trump came out and he said, I don't have it in front of me.
yeah, he had photos of Ron or something.
He's like, oh, Ron with young women and maybe a man. Maybe a man. Ron likes the girls. Sometimes Ron likes the boys.
Yeah. Trump,
Ron the gay.
The dilemma for DeSantis here is that Trump can bash DeSantis 247, and most Republicans just eat it up because they love Trump being Trump. But if DeSantis fires back on Trump, a lot of Republicans get mad.
Yeah,
they do.
It's funny because it's like, again, like me and you and could trash DeSantis all day, and any other people in media or Democratic politicians or whatever can do it. And it's like, yeah, but it has so much more weight when it comes out of Trump's mouth. Like, it's funny. And it's funny because it's like, he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't have to play by any political norms because he doesn't give a shit. This is the guy who almost burnt down the Capitol. I think he gives a fuck, and he's gotten away with it. He's not even fucking jail. Like, he tried stealing. He literally threatened the guy in Georgia and said, give me 20,000 more votes. And like, dude, that's not how elections work.
I'll tell you though,
I have bots on Twitter. Like,
Florida's fucked up. There was a guy 2 weeks ago in Charlotte County dropped dead from a flesh-eating bacteria that came out of his tap water. Fucking tap water.
That's right. I remember I think you told me that. Yeah, it's like,
and then
needs to be like, that's what treatment plants are for.
Yeah, and then there's like there's an article today about a new wave of like weirdo tropical disease carrying mosquitoes.
Yep.
And then there's like the property insurance. There's crazy. It's like doubling and tripling, and it's just
maybe it's just. I mean, what could DeSantis do about that? I mean, maybe is it just because of all the hurricanes and shit?
Yeah, a lot of it's the hurricanes, and there's
sinkholes.
It's a mess. But
flooding,
what you could do is like what a leader would do as a layperson here would be to call in all the interested parties. Look, I'm going to call in insurers and attorneys and builders and roofers and all these different parties and say, what do we got here? What is going on? Like, there's no way that, a person on a fixed income is going to be able to pay $15,000 a year for property insurance. You just can't do it, So you could do something other than wearing your little boots and yelling the word woke at a TV camera.
Yeah,
even if he couldn't.
That's the other thing too, like the don't say gay thing. Like, originally when they first put it in there, they lied and said like, oh, this is only for like small kids. We don't, that's how they try to make it sound like it's reasonable. Like, no, we just don't think it should be discussed with like 4-year-olds. And most people will be like, yeah, that's true. I wouldn't want them on anything. Like some people, like I could see a lot of people falling for that bullshit. But that was not the case. And like, that's going to be like through all school.
And it's not the case at all, because schools everywhere, all over the country, routinely have teachers teaching kids of all ages that talk about their spouse relationship status. I mean, like, obviously you want to keep it age appropriate. And there's some things you would never talk about, but like all over the country, first grade teachers will say to their kids, like, look, I'm taking Friday off. Do you know why, kids? Why? I'm getting married, and I'm going to be gone for the weekend. And when I come back, my name's not going to be, Mrs. Hemingway. It'll be Mrs. Johnson, and that's like an okay thing to say to fucking first graders. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's discussing in a real specific way. It's discussing your orientation or whatever, because
it's not even a big freaking deal. It's like, who cares? It's just like, hey, I'm a human. Your teacher's a human.
The kids will say like, who are you marrying?
My parents are
I'm marrying Scott, or I'm marrying, Darlene, or what. It doesn't fucking matter. Kids are gonna muddle through it, knowing that other people, you can, when you get
There-
home with your kid, you can tell your kid any fucked up thing you want.
right
You
wing
know, that's
bigots have been looking for any excuse they can to demonize the LGBT.
it's ridiculous. You're gonna
They lost ground after the gay marriage thing, and they started gaining ground by attacking trans people. And they figured, now that we got you with trans people, we're gonna go after the gay, lesbian, homosexuals, and we're gonna make
and
sure they can't adopt kids. We're gonna make sure they can't get. We're gonna make their marriage less equal in any way.
and I don't know why progressives in like red states don't start filing complaints saying like, you know
I'm
what,
sure they are, but it's
my
like,
kid came home and her second grade teacher said he was going home to his wife. And I
probably
don't think
that's these
I'm just
people are
saying, like,
normal. They're not part of some fucking church group. They're not part of some like underground cult or something. Like, they're normal people, most of these people, and they don't give a shit. They're working on their own lives. They send their kids to school. If anything, they're probably hoping there's no fucking school shooting or anything.
right.
Like today, there was an incident in a school in Denver, and the fucked up thing, I don't know if there were kids were killed, but I think two faculty members were shot. I don't know if they were killed. I don't know the full story, but it was in Denver.
Oh yeah, in Denver. I saw that.
And
yeah.
you see the tweet though, the one with a kid, the woman from Fox, like a local Fox affiliate, was reporting on it, and then her kid attends that school, and she like hugs the kid, make sure he's okay, and then she just gets back to like reporting on it. It's like,
so fucked
this
up.
isn't normal.
Well, that Ron DeSantis has run with that in Florida. He's run with the whole like, look, your problem isn't that you can't afford to live in your home anymore. Your problem is that your second grade teacher may be gay. And like, that's such an insane thing.
There's porn in those school libraries. I mean, you heard this shit kind of start.
I mean,
you heard this in the school board meetings when it was about anti-maskers, but for every other anti-masker, there was some other chud that was there to claim that there was gay porn in the school libraries. And that was crazy. Like 2 years ago. So like, they've been working on this shit for a while now. And they're gaining ground in a lot of states, and it's super hypocritical. There's that famous video. The guy talks about he lost his job, the one who reported like all the books.
Oh yeah.
Away. Yep. He's like, yeah, okay. So then there's like 6,000 books, out of millions that are like, here's 6,000 books. Or did you see that new one? I don't know if it was like Florida, but it was like a textbook, and it showed like Rosa Parks, and it's like it doesn't mention she's black. It doesn't even mention why she didn't. It's just like, here's a lady, she didn't want to sit down in the back.
You know, it is weird
of like her like ethnicity or anything, or why she did it.
Yeah, right. Like that's a tough one. Yeah. So see kids trying to figure that one out. I don't know. I will say, like, I don't know. It is a miracle that DeSantis won his first election. It's a crazy miracle that he won his second one.
It's a crime that he won. It's a crime both times, but it's insane. And you know what's great about Trump, like coming out and saying all this shit, is because what it does then, see, he gets to do it from the outside looking in. He's not he's never going to run for governor in Florida. No. He's not going to run for anything. He only just wants to run for president because that's the big ticket, and he's already been in once, and that's the only thing he's going to run for. Like I remember that like floating around like, we'll make him the Speaker of the House. Like,
yeah, he wants to
want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. You think he's going to chase around Lauren Boebert or like some other goober? Like, he doesn't give a shit.
No.
He wants to be king.
There's no way. People would be so empowered against him. He'd be far worse off being Speaker of the House than simply being a spectator. He has more power now than he would as Speaker of the House.
Him attacking DeSantis' record is actually really damaging, because what it does is he's pointing out like, hey guys who live here, your governor sucks.
Yeah. And
they'll listen to him more than they'll listen to Democrat. And it's funny. Like, it's very effective. And I mean, I will see if anything comes of it, but DeSantis still going to be governor, but it definitely like will call into question some things. And all it'll take, if he's bringing it up, maybe other people will bring stuff up.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you'll see.
It's like the it's like when that what was her name?
Yeah.
Gray brought up the what is woke to that woman.
Right.
A lot of people are now asking right wingers, like, give us a definition of what woke is.
Yeah.
Like, what is woke? And all it takes is like one person to say something like, hey, what's the deal with that? Like, and then maybe with Trump bring up something like, hey, your insurance has gone up. It kind of forces other people to question it. And
right. Is cheaper insurance woke? Is that
yeah,
is affordable healthcare woke?
I mean, what he's doing is so awful to the schools and everything.
Yeah.
And okay, so then I think is a good segue to talk about, since we're talking about the schools and everything, talk about what's his name? Joseph Harding.
Yeah.
He's the guy who, I guess, I don't know if he invented it, but he's the one who drafted the bill.
He sponsored the bill.
Gay bill.
Yeah.
And this guy, I guess, resigned last year.
Yes, he resigned last year while he was under investigation. And then eventually he pled guilty to 3 charges. And they had something to do, they all kind of stemmed from COVID relief fraud. So he swindled a bunch of money out of that COVID relief stuff. And then he lied about it. And then he used money transfers to kind of move the money around. That's, I think, got into his wire fraud charge. He might go to prison for like 35 years. It's a federal charge too. And those aren't like, oh, well, we're going to give you I mean, there's like sentencing guidelines. He's going to do time.
Good.
In prison. And
I think it's just so symbolic of the guy who like sponsored that stupid bill and was like, this motherfucker's going to jail.
It's hilarious.
And also how corrupt he is. It's like, it's like the George Bush administration, going back to that. Like the other thing too, I couldn't stand about it is like they try to push like they were the family values. And it's like, for family values, they literally give companies seminars on how to export jobs out of the country. Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, these motherfuckers like don't give a shit about your kids. They don't care about the environment. They want to cut funding on everything. Like, I'm so sick of that. So it's like when you see like the guy who co-sponsored or whatever the Don't Say Gay bill, yeah, he's also like incredibly corrupt.
Yeah, he was
focused on that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it is weird. This is a rare thing where a Florida Republican is going to do time. I mean, like they generally get pretty well protected. But it's really funny. I mean, like, funny is not the right word, because like the whole thing's kind of tragic. That it's tragic that he sponsored the Don't Say Gay bill. That's awful. And then he stole money from COVID relief while probably bitching about COVID.
Well, the joke is that like if he did it, like tons of other people did it too.
And then he probably was like an anti-masker while stealing money from COVID relief.
Yeah.
And
probably tell the kids to go back to school.
Yeah.
Until teachers get back into schools, we're not going to give you any COVID guidelines or tell you, like, give you any PPE, whatever it's called.
Yeah, PPP stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's kind of nice to see that. And it feels like a little kind of like creepy saying it's nice to see this guy get sent off. But like these people have been like plundering the poor for a long time and preying on the marginalized. And this motherfucker's going to get to spend a decent amount of time in federal prison, and he can like contemplate all the gay things he wants there, how much he hates gay things, and then fuck him,
I'm sure he'll go to a white collar prison.
I am too, but like, look, I've said this before about some of those J6ers, man, going to prison for a day would suck. It would just suck. The process of getting on a prison bus and putting on a jumpsuit and going into a bathroom.
I saw some video leaking, and it's like all these like frat boys and like other shitty people in jail, and they're just like forming gangs in there.
Good, let them. That is
well, as long as they stay in there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, they're just like.
Speaking of Proud Boys, did you see that video that went around?
Oh yeah, I forgot to put that on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. So I guess there was like some kind of some drag queen event,
Sure.
drag queen whatever in New York, and of course it gets all the psychopaths to come there, and there were like only like 6 Proud Boys. It's kind of funny. It's like New York City, and it's like they got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
And then you see these 2 guys, and they're like bitching, crying. They're like, "We were here to protect people. We were here." And like the best is one person screams, "Hey, go back to Long Island, asshole!"
Well, the one
Long Island, I can see some of those fucking people being Proud Boys.
The one Proud Boy is like, "I came here to help, not get the shit kicked out of me." And I was thinking, like, well, what if getting the shit kicked out of you was helpful? You know, I mean, like, what if that's
you having a bloody face is a good like
now you get to go to work and explain to people why you have a bloody face.
Booster.
Yeah.
And then, made my day. Again, it's like these fucking scumbags are getting like escorted out safely.
Yep. Oh yeah, the cops were all over them. Not it's like a law enforcement way, but like
let's see them do that with like some like truly progressive, like BLM or like true anti-war, not that fake anti-Ukraine bullshit.
Yeah.
And like, let's see that. Let's see how the cops react to that, I know what happens. I've seen it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You out.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that was a good one. We had talked about putting that on the list, and I didn't get it on there.
Yeah, that was great. That was funny to watch. The other thing too is there was some funny ass videos of like the Trump arrest thing. Like there's like there's like many little like demonstrations or whatever going on, and one of them was that guy Walter Maston. He always goes to those things and he fucks with people and asks them like tends to be like a MAGA chud or whatever. But they're onto him, but whatever. And he had this other guy, and the other guy was dressed up like literally dressed up like QAnon shaman.
Yeah.
And these people are all like paranoid, like he's wearing a wire. And the guy's like, I'm not wearing a wire. And he starts getting like naked.
Yeah.
It's like the funniest thing. And these people are so paranoid and stupid.
Well, that's the best thing is that they're all like turning on each other. The DeSantis people hate the Trump people and vice versa. And anytime you get like 6 MAGA chuds together. I think
the reality is that the DeSantis people are mostly just Trump people. And if they're still in love with Trump, DeSantis is fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. People only liked, if your choice was, I'm going to support Ron DeSantis as governor and Trump as president, that's an easy one for a lot of people to make. But if you're asking them to choose between the two, then I agree. I think they're breaking towards
like
Trump.
If you're like, he's Trump's friend who assists Trump and does what Trump wants. Oh, right, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He said bad things about Trump. Fuck that guy.
Right. Yeah.
Trump said that he's likes a man.
Right.
Once. Maybe more.
I seen him wearing boots like that lady Eminem.
He's a gay Eminem.
Yeah. I mean,
he's that trans Eminem I heard about. Ron the trans.
Yeah. That's not that far off.
I think the thing is, though, the things that should make people worry about Ron DeSantis, well, one, his record. Two, the fact that he was like a Gitmo guy.
Yeah. I read about that the other day. Yeah.
Speaking of the Iraq War, one of the worst things coming out of Iraq War, and this was like probably a couple of years into it, was all the shit going on in Gitmo. My God.
Yeah. That was
horrible,
gruesome.
Like, truly a horrible time. Like every day, like there was some other like horrible thing. So the idea that they would reform these people, like George W. Bush in any way,
come on, no.
Give this guy any space. It's like when Ellen DeGeneres got caught being with him at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? Ellen just sucks, dude.
Ellen sucks. I mean, I think
Ellen's
that's a
rich
separate
bitch.
story.
No, she's just a rich asshole, dude.
Yeah.
She don't give a fuck about you. She doesn't suffer. She's not gonna suffer the same as regular people will.
No, there's always, it's like a Caitlyn Jenner type of thing.
Oh, where she's pathetic.
Well, it's a similar dynamic, like you want to kind of root for these people because they're like great examples in some ways, but then they turn out to just be shitty people, Yeah.
And so, Caitlyn Jenner is endlessly remind you. I think that I heard the thing that sucked more about Ellen was just our shitty issues to her staff, I think, supposedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah.
But like, I think the reality was it wasn't really like, oh, Ellen is turncoat and all that. It's like, no, she's super rich and she hangs out with rich people and rich things, like hang out in the richest box at a football stadium or baseball.
I can still appreciate the fact that she came out in a real public way that was kind of groundbreaking, and that was a good thing.
That's fine.
I don't want to like discount that, but like crappy people can do good things.
Yeah.
Like the people are complicated, and you can
like,
have like
Bob Hope, they always talk about for years he would do all these things for the troops.
Yeah.
Do those things for the troops. I was like, it's like, dude, the motherfucker like made buco bucks off of it.
Yeah.
He like owned the syndication of those and like
yeah, well he made bank on that. Yeah. He built a career around it.
On that shit. He entertained the troops.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went out there and went with a golf club and went, well, I don't know what how's it going? I don't know. It was like lame jokes he would say, and he would have like a pretty girl on stage.
Yeah.
Remember what you're fighting for, fellas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So
okay.
No, I was going to talk about you remember? Did you see Apocalypse Now Redux, where they did like that extended scene of like the Playmates doing USO shows in Vietnam?
I think so.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, it was basically, it's like they could have put literally one of those little birds that drinks water out of a test tube in front of a crowd of troops, and they'd cheer because like that's the one day they weren't getting shot at, bombed, and they were given beer. They're gonna anything that's gonna be a good night for them. They're like
prisoners.
Exactly. Well, it's like, hey,
Fred said Fred's here to play at the prison.
The last exactly. They're like, are you telling me Millie and Vanilla is here? I'm in. Like
I don't want to ruin it for them, but one of them is not with us anymore.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he killed himself years ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they had a raw deal. I mean, they got set up by anyway.
Sorry, I mean to ruin your little joke.
Little Millie.
I just want to let you know that
who died? Was it Millie or Vanilli?
Are they They're not both
really.
They're not both Millie and Vanilli?
Yeah, it's Millie Vanilli. They both have names.
Millie, Vanilli.
Well, okay.
Which day? No, you're Millie. I'm Vanilli.
I'm going to segue out of this awkward moment directly into Fox News. Fox News. This has kind of like been a interesting thing that's unfolded. Dominion did the one thing I always advocate for, which is like, look, if you're a liberal or left, or if you're anyone, and the right wing has used you as a punching bag, sue them, right? Like that's
the thing is, what's great about Dominion is they're probably the furthest from left. They're just a company that makes their living off of software and
They want the only way that they could possibly be liberal is that they probably want people to vote, because they sell voting machines. Right. That's a pretty
that it's liberal. That's all people to vote.
Right. That's a pretty liberal position. So everything I hear about, I follow this case a lot because I'm real interested in it. And everything everyone says is like, Fox is so fucked. They're like, people are like, these kind of cases are so hard to prove. The plaintiffs hardly ever win. However, this is unreal, the amount of evidence that Dominion has. And Dominion has even gone to the judge and said, basically, look, we are so correct. We don't even think there should be a trial. We think you should just rule from the bench in our favor. And a lot of analysts are saying like that might happen. That in fact, that likely might happen.
I saw a thing today or something where Fox is trying to claim like they're not responsible for their on-air talent, basically. They're not. Rupert Murdoch and them are not responsible.
But there's all these emails. That's
bullshit. They are
saying,
responsible.
There's all these emails and text messages saying like, we know what we're saying is untrue. We know what we're saying about Dominion is untrue. We're going to say it anyway because the ratings are slipping. I mean, there's basically
we can't let Newsmax or OAN take our spot.
It's like and now like a lot of the producers are suing. There's a producer yesterday sued Maria Baratiromo.
Oh, that woman's a fucking nut job.
Can you believe
Was
Joey
she
Ramone
always
wrote a
like
song
that?
about her? No, well, back
Yeah,
in the
Joey
day,
Ramone did make a song. It was like in his
yeah,
album that came out after he died. He's like, Maria
yeah.
Bartiromo.
It's so gruesome now, but she used to be like a middle of the road, and she used to be like a Lou Dobbs like 30 years ago, where it was
Well, yeah,
like
Lou Dobbs was kind of normal-ish.
they were all like relatively normal, and then like Trump got elected, and they're like, oh, I guess I don't have to pretend
Well, Lou
anymore.
Dobbs during the Obama administration turned into a complete
Yeah,
fucking
that's
liar.
true. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of that stuff was Lou Dobbs, if I remember correctly, and I am going to say that there's a chance I might not be. I think Lou Dobbs was one of those birthers. I think he was
Oh
on the
yeah, he
Trump,
was. No, he was. That
and that
was
was
during that, and Donald Trump was all behind that.
yep,
And
and that was a Trump-driven thing. I think Trump really gave a lot of these people, a lot of them probably lived and worked in that New York area. They probably like traveled to social circles. I think they just fell into the cult of Trump. And when
yeah,
Trump started
he
doing
did about
well,
Geronimo, New York, and a
yep.
lot of these people from New York. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think Fox is fucked. And a lot of people are saying, like, because Dominion wants like $4 billion. A lot of people are saying that Fox may lose, but still be kind of okay. Meaning that the judge, that it's almost a foregone conclusion that Dominion's going to win, but that is it going to be like is it going to be like Alex Jones's trial in Texas, where he was found guilty and they fined him like $1 million?
But what about the one that was the big thing was that
Or
was
is it
that in Connecticut? Oh, you're going to say,
or is it going to be like the one in Connecticut where he got fined like $1 billion? Is the judge going to use this to penalize Fox, or is the judge going to use this to put Fox out of business? And a lot of people are saying, like, look, it would be a big deal to put Fox out of business. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. It'd be the best thing for a lot of people. It's family.
But the other thing is, like, what was let's say Fox completely fucked over Dominion and ruined their company. Well, how much is that worth? How much was Dominion worth? You know, is it $1 billion company? Is it $1 million? I don't know. And so they would be limited into what they could recoup for actual losses, and then all that other stuff would just be punitive damages, and the judge has a little discretion there.
Either way, it'd be awesome just to see Fox News lose and have to pay.
And they would have to admit
it will discredit them even more.
Yeah. Part of the settlement would have to be like, and I know this would be where we want Tucker Carlson to go on camera and say, I lied to you, or I didn't play you straight, or something. That would be part of the settlement. I'm confident.
Wait, what about Tucker Carlson? What?
That Dominion would demand as part of the settlement, Tucker Carlson, Maria Bartiromo, Laura Ingraham, all of those people on their show would come out and read a statement.
They'd have to read the statement.
Yeah, I'm confident that would be part of the settlement.
That'd be funny because that would be on video and it'd be all over the internet forever. Man.
That would be.
That's the funny thing too about these things, these cases too. It's like, good examples like Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Like he got away with murder literally, and now there's 2 civil suits against him.
Yeah.
And he's probably gonna, hopefully, depending on who the judge is and everything, he's probably gonna lose both of them, as he should.
Oh yeah.
Like OJ lost his civil suit like a year after he got away with murder, literally. Another one came out recently. That guy Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty. He tweeted this today. I'm surprised he put it out there, basically saying like he was basically found not like the case was dropped, the battery thing. Yeah. And he was claiming like his whole reputation was destroyed, and this was an embittered ex that tried to like, who knows what the story is, but all these people were like responding. And oh man, I got a good one. All these people responding like, dude, you still had all those DMs to like underage girls. Wubba lubba dub dub. I thought it was great someone wrote that. But there's a good one. This is where I said, I'm like, you guys are never consistent. Let me see if I can find it. Like one of these like right-wing chuds. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, the Quartering writes, you should be reinstated with a public apology from just about everyone immediately. And I wrote, I'm glad you guys are very consistent when it comes to grooming. It's like these are all those
right.
Quartering, all these other right-wing YouTubers. They're all like the people who like groom those groomers. And it's like, well, here's a guy who
is grooming.
might actually be a groomer.
Yeah.
Like actually is. I'm glad you guys are intellectually honest and consistent on everything. My favorite, going back to the Trump thing, was after Trump like announced like about the arrest or whatever, like Tim Pool writes war.
I know.
Civil War or something. And I was like, or he put out one today about like what was it? Oh god, let me see if I can find it real quick. He put out this thing and it was like so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He writes like, oh, it's gonna be funny in 100 years when they're major catalyst of the Second Civil War was when Democrats demanded the right to sterilize children, amputate healthy body parts, but faced opposition from Republicans. One, what? None of that is true. And then I wrote, it's gonna be funny in 100 years when they're like a major catalyst of the Second Civil War was when a bunch of right-wing YouTubers spread misinformation to rubes about complete nonsense so they could sell more prepper buckets and boner pills.
Yeah. Did you see that thing today about microchip? Did you see that?
No, what the fuck is that? I am like so lost on that. What is that?
Okay, so apparently there was a guy by the name who went by Microchip back during the Trump-Clinton election that spent like $300 a day on like these computer programs and stuff that he just amassed a huge Twitter following, and he did nothing but post anti-Clinton propaganda and stuff.
Yeah.
Just made shit up, made travel conspiracy theories, all this stuff, whatever. Anyway, they caught him. And because he was also like something to do with January 6th or whatever. And he's been working as an FBI informant for a long time, apparently.
Of course.
And he finally got pulled into court today. And his profile pic was of like this buff kind of MAGA dude wearing a MAGA cap, and, trimmed beard. And the court reporter described him as like aging, obese man with a neck beard.
Of course.
That lived with his mom, like in Florida somewhere or something.
Guy Beard from Peacemaker.
Yeah, basically. It was something.
So real quick before we
move
on anything, I did, I posted this the Trump. Did you see that drawing of him?
Yeah.
And the little hands with the handcuffs, like in the big stupid tie. I haven't done a Trump drawing in a while, so it was fun to do. He's funny to draw because you just have to have some signature aspects of him. You don't have to be like, it doesn't have to 100% look like Trump. I mean, like it I think it does. I got a lot of his features. And
oh yeah.
You just gotta make sure he has the dumb hair.
Yep.
Weird puffy pink eye sockets.
Tiny hands.
Lips. Yeah, tiny T-Rex like hands. The smaller, the funnier.
Yep.
The idea is to not make them correct in two sides. Like, oh, good, look, you're
no
below average chance. No, you got to make them like they're what's that called? Like a useless limbs,
like a vestigial limb.
Yeah, vestigial limbs. Like they're like barely he can do anything with them. So I had this one guy, some other chud wrote something on my page, and he was like, "Why don't you draw both sides? Why don't you draw Biden?" I'm not for anyone. If you're not for anyone, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm so sick of that bullshit. You are a Trump chud. You would not, a normal person would not give a shit about this journey. They would see it and go, whatever. Or that's kind of funny, but I'm not gonna like it or comment. I don't care. So this guy, Brad Cook, 28. Thanks for adding to the narrative. Trump is the underdog because of the actions like this, and everybody loves him more now.
Oh, Lord.
And I wrote, keep telling yourself that, LOL. Because that's what everyone else is telling me. Them shaking in their booties.
Yeah.
And this guy writes, Bracco, keep those MAGA tears coming. Nobody's afraid of that orange baboon. This other person wrote, LOL. Everybody, the only people that still love Trump are the ones too slow to know they're being conned. And this guy, and then he writes, Brad Cook writes, I guess you don't understand. This is exciting for us. And we aren't crying like triggered libs off my post.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then he wrote, how were we conned? He delivered an amazing presidency. Biden's making a joke out of America, though, and y'all refuse to even say his name or even admit you're Democrats. Too busy obsessing over Trump. Obviously, it's pathetic. I wrote, amazing presidency. The guy is responsible for COVID spreading in the USA. 1.5 million Americans are dead because of Trump. You have a gas leak in your house? He writes, this is going to be long, but don't worry. Guaranteed I have a better degree from a better school than yourself. That's what he says to me.
Of course.
Democrats created COVID in China to crash his economy. Yep. That was crazy. I remember when they did that.
Yeah.
Because they have no talent to run on. You know, they have no talent, but they were able to do this thing with China. I would imagine that doing that would involve a lot of talent.
Yeah.
That's another.
I remember being on the Discord when we all decided to do it.
Yeah.
And it was
awesome. That was a great day. Fauci lovers fail to comprehend how it is his fault for letting the virus happen, as it is his job to prevent the virus. Wow, this is like it's like all over the place. But yeah, blame Trump for everything because it makes you feel better about your inflated egos and how you don't think for yourselves because you're too emotional. Quit whining and making the world a better place. Pretty sad he posts this crap and then harass the people at who he wrote at some whatever who commented desperate you are. I'm like, what? You're the idiot who all I said was, what? Are you sure about that? And then I just wrote, I can't believe you're a real person.
Yeah. A lot of them just come off as like bots or I don't know, whatever.
And then this one person wrote, most honest people don't love Biden either. And if you don't understand how you've been conned still or explaining it won't change your opinion. You drunk an orange cool or whatever. But this guy real quick responding to me saying, I can't believe you're a real person. His response, I still don't think he's a real person. Yeah, just to do with my name as my handle and my face as my pick. Maybe how this fake person can trigger so many salty responses from the keyboard warriors. Hope you can all find a safe space close by to decompress the information I have presented you here.
Yeah, that sounds like AI written.
I can't handle that. That is amazing. Like, that is not a real person. I mean,
it doesn't sound like it.
It's copy pasta. Like, whatever. I thought that was kind of funny.
That is
okay.
Funny.
So
we got two things left. We got a serious thing and a funny thing. We got a weird thing, and this one, I think I shared this with you like in the week, and you're like, everyone already knew that. And you're right. I mean, like everyone knew this even back then, but I guess it was confirmed that the incoming Reagan people negotiated with Iran to keep the hostages in Iran to help Reagan beat Carter.
That's been like a known thing for decades. That's again, one of those conspiracies that are
exactly
real. But
this time, one of the Reagan officials came out and said, "Yes, we did that." And I think this is the first time.
Texas or something.
Of course. I think this is the first time someone from the Reagan administration went on the record and said, yes, we did that. And I was a little surprised he said that because there are still living hostage, like their former hostages still alive. And I would think that this would open them up to some sort of civil suit or I don't know. I mean, it seems like.
I think a lot of those hostages were paid off.
I'm sure I don't know what being a hostage would entail, but some of them may just be like, I don't want to revisit this. You know, like some of them may be more mad that he is revisiting it than what happened. You know, they probably already knew that was the case. And now they're like, dude, just let me live out my fucking life in peace without you trying to grasp at 15 minutes of fame on your deathbed.
Yeah, like you're doing some I don't know what this guy's motives are or who the
it's like that Robert McNamara that like a lot of those people. There's another guy, McNamara is the Vietnam guy. There's another guy that like had basically a deathbed conversion.
That's the Karl Rove's boss or whatever. Karl Rove's
who's his name?
Who is he?
Lee Atwater?
Yeah, Lee Atwater.
Yeah.
He was Bush's campaign manager, the first Bush, and he's like famous for basically doing the that really racist one with this guy,
the Willie Horton one.
Yeah, Willie Horton ad. Yeah, making it all like really dark and like really black. And
then he got like esophageal. He got some sort of cancer, and then
They
like
killed him
basically
quick. He
yeah.
went, I mean, the first, like within like the second year of the Bush, he
But
was dead.
he was
If
like
he lived, he probably, if he lived, I bet you Bush would have won.
yeah,
Maybe.
could have been, but like Lee Atwater kind of like had a deathbed confession. He basically recanted like a lot of his positions.
Well, here's this guy who like, there's a great documentary about him, but here's this guy who would like, he's like big into like the blues and jazz and all that.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
right.
he's playing with like lots of different black people, and here he is running like on a Southern tragedy and being like incredibly racist. And it's like, but like secretly he wants to be like respected and like be like a musician and like,
yes.
it's like he wanted his cake and eat it too. So when he like died, it's like, he didn't want to be known as like the Willie Horton ad guy and the guy who like, puts in shitty people. It's like, I'm just a guy who plays music. It's like sad. Like you see him in his deathbed, he was like all bloated and shit.
Yep.
Like it's unrecognizable.
Well, it is. I mean, I didn't mean
Bob
to talk about him.
Roberts was kind of inspired by that. It's funny. They say Bob Roberts was inspired by Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton came out with like the saxophone.
Yeah.
But it was really like, I think
you're right.
Inspired by Lee Atwater.
Lee Atwater kind of did that shtick before Clinton. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say about this Iran-Contra thing. I mean, I agree with you that like we knew this way back in the day. I mean, this was like pretty common knowledge.
It's one of those like, it's like, again, it's kind of similar to like the Hinckley thing. Where it's like, and again, it goes back to like George Herbert Walker Bush. It's like, oh, okay, your VP candidate happens to be the former head of the CIA. Like they don't have connections to like, and isn't that where Iran-Contra came from? Isn't Iran-Contra also pretty much?
Yeah.
That's like the joke. It's like the same thing with these fucking clowns. It's like Trump winning in 2016, clearly Russian collusion involvement, and then it's like, why was he impeached? I don't know, because he was trying to extort like fucking Ukraine for his boss Putin. That's what it was all about. And then this whole Ukraine invasion all has to do it all goes back to that. And it's like the entire election, him winning, it's like because the Russian involvement, and it all has to do with fucking Ukraine. And then the same thing with like isn't like the Iran Contra thing like kind of starts with the Iran hostages. And
it was basically we sold weapons to Iran, and then with the money we got from that, it was all off the books. It was like Oliver North and William Secord and a few others. They sold weapons to Iran and then took the money and gave them to the Contras in Nicaragua who are fighting the Sandinistas. And I remember, clear as a bell, I'm still in touch with her on mostly on Instagram. She's a real nice woman. I went to high school with a woman who had some, I don't know if she came from Nicaragua or if she had family from Nicaragua, but I was like in 10th grade or 11th grade, and she kind of explained to me like what it was like with the Sandinistas and the Contras fighting. And it was really eye-opening for me at the time because I'm
assuming the Sandinistas were more like commies or something?
Yeah, the Sandinistas were the Contras were just people fighting the Sandinistas. And
backed by right-wing groups, of course.
Well, the Sandinistas were backed by Russia. That was they were kind of like a satellite country of the Soviet Union at the time. And the Contras were just a collection of people that fought that.
Yeah, I heard the Contras had a cheat code. Up, right, left,
yes.
left,
that's how they eventually beat the Sandinistas.
Yeah. Unlimited debts cheat code. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a weird coda to this. So many people that's funny.
Coda.
So many people,
I mean, like these guys get in dishonestly and it like haunts their entire administration. Like and every action they do has to do with pretty much everything that had to do with how they got in. It's like unlike, fucking with the election here. It's more like what they did with Iran hostages was to just make Carter look weak.
Yeah.
The narrative was already against him. The media was already turned on Carter at that point. I think he put out some speech in like the late 70s or early 1980. He put out like a speech that didn't resonate with people. Then
Yeah, he wore like a sweater, and it was a weird. I remember
it was like a speech where he's basically saying, like, dude, we gotta do shit to fix things. Like,
yeah, it sucks. Carter was just such a decent person, and he was so smart. He was like
he's still alive, right? He's like in hospice or something.
Yeah, he's in hospice. And but like, I don't know. I mean, like he got hamstrung as president, and a lot of that was kind of beyond his control. Like OPEC was fucking with him at the time.
The what do you call it? Turned on him. The evangelicals turned on him.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, like it does suck. It's like this shithead from Texas is, oh yeah, we've fucked over Carter. Like Carter's on his deathbed. Like, dude, just why don't you relax? And
like Carter doesn't know that.
Yeah, maybe you don't need the spotlight this moment, you know.
Well, I don't think it got the attention. I think it got our attention because we saw that on like Twitter, but I don't think it got. I don't know.
I don't think a lot of people remember that. Honestly, I don't think a lot of people have any recollection of that happening. I'll bet you.
Well, I mean, it was already. I mean, it's fucking ancient history already. We're talking 1980. Yeah. That's 42 years ago. 43 years ago.
That's true. And there's been so much that has happened since. I mean, it's like there's been a lot of crazy. Events.
We view the 80s like
it's pivotal.
Like this pivotal cultural thing, and it doesn't seem that far away. And we're still like enjoying the pop culture of that era. Still, we're still eating it up. We're still eating that shit up every day. I mean, fuck, we're talking about freaking Star Wars. You know what I mean? And and you forget about like how long ago, but then it's like, dude, what was 42 years ago in 1980?
Yeah, it would have been like
late 30s. I mean, like,
honestly, I remember like 10, 15 years ago, they were saying that 70s show would have been like the Happy Days, like
that's basically,
you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, that 70s show was Happy Days.
Yeah,
it followed Happy Days. Freaking Hyde was like the Fonzie moved upstairs. Fucking the Fonz moved upstairs.
But like when we were kids in the 80s, we looked at like Happy Days as like an alien culture, and now like things are just so accelerated. Anyway, it is kind of crazy. But that brings us to a fun thing to end on, which was
oh my god, this is like the funniest photo.
Yeah, it was okay.
Like,
explain.
I think I have the tweet still. Let me just pull it up real quick.
Did he really delete the tweet?
He did delete the tweet. Some troll on my page. Like, you delete. I'm like, I didn't respond to him. I'm like, yeah, he fucking deleted the tweet. Dude. Like, you're not gonna fucking gaslight me. Here. Oh, damn it, I had it. And like, hold on.
Yeah, this is Rand Paul, the junior senator from Kentucky, who looks like a scarecrow with a Brillo pad for his hair.
He's taking a picture with some little beady-eyed kid.
Yep.
Just some like little. He's probably like, I don't know. This kid looks like he's probably like 12 or 13. And it's like such a funny photo when you look at it. And he's just like, can you believe Hunter Kimball? Nice fucking name. Hunter Kimball was disciplined for wearing this shirt in Utah. Okay. First of all, hey, Kentucky Senator, why don't you worry about your own fucking state?
Yeah, right.
About Utah. Utah has its own problems. Got that lake with all that salt. It's not good for you. Well, and I wrote, why did Senator Rand Paul delete this tweet? All right, here we go. What's up with that? This kid, he's proudly standing next to this kid. He's like so defined. Like, how dare you? What about this shirt? That is offensive. This kid's like smiling. It's like a black hoodie. It's 4 AR-15s in red.
Mm-hmm.
And there's where the star, it forms the American flag. Even though it desecrates the flag because one, there's no white, it's black instead of white there.
Yep.
Instead of where the stars are, it says 69.
Yeah.
And the guns, the AR-15s, if you look at the formation of them, they're supposed to be forming the stripes on it. They're performing 69 on each other.
Yeah. In all, here's where Rand Paul was thinking. Rand Paul looked at this and said, oh, they made an American flag out of guns. And that's all he saw.
Yep.
And he thought that the kid got kicked out of school for wearing a shirt with guns on it. And to be honest with you, almost all schools will kick you out for wearing a shirt with guns. You can't wear a shirt with guns on it.
It's contraband. That's the funniest thing. Let me tell you, we have like such loose rules when it comes to guns. I remember when I worked at like Trumbull or whatever, and we had like a magazine ad, and we had to remove it because it even just had like an image of a gun. They're like, it is considered contraband. You cannot sell this magazine. It is the most insane thing.
It's weird. I mean,
like gun magazines. I don't get it. I don't understand this law.
Well, I worked at a school that was pretty right wing, in a pretty right wing area. They wouldn't let kids wear shirts with guns on them. They wouldn't. I mean, they just wouldn't. So, but what Rand didn't,
stuff probably that's why they would say that.
What Rand didn't realize is that it was a shirt about fucking, about guns fucking.
69, dude.
That's why. I mean, like, God. And no one on Rand, and this was a staged photo.
Yep.
This wasn't just like Rand saw a shirt and it was a staged thing. A lot of people saw this before he tweeted it, and people, he had interns looking at them, I'm sure. Nobody said a thing. Nobody realized it or nobody said anything. And that was that.
This one person wrote a thing, goes, in high school, I was forced to change out of a Brady campaign to end gun violence shirt because it had a gun on it. It was crossed out on the shirt and everything.
Yeah.
Like it was like an X on the gun because it had a gun.
A lot of schools have like a lot of leeway. And here's a weird little thing. Kids don't have constitutional rights in school. They don't. No. You don't have a right to freedom of speech. You don't have a right. All those little constitutional rights you think you have, they don't apply until you're 18.
It's like when all the right wingers get mad about like corporations, like, this is my free speech. And it's like, no, this is their platform. They don't have to. They could, if they want to, not host you. They don't have to. It's like a restaurant where it says, like, we reserve the right to refuse service.
I wonder if that kid's parents understood what that shirt meant. You know what I mean? Like,
it's literally, someone posted like the site that it came from, and it literally says what it is.
Yeah, I know, but like,
I don't know. I would love to know the origins. I don't know if this kid is punking him. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the fact is, Rand Paul decided to.
That's the fight he wants to fight that day.
Yeah, it's so funny. I love that though. Someone left the comment said, "What about Hunter's laptop?"
I know.
Like, I didn't even respond to that. I was like,
"Yeah." I think it's great. Hunter Biden's suing everyone now. I think that's probably a good strategy.
Is he?
Yeah, he sued the shop owner that gave away the laptop.
Oh, that weird looking guy who dresses up like a sheep herder from Scotland.
Yeah, he's suing a lot of people, and it's like he's suing for invasion of privacy, and he's doing it in a way that's kind of interesting. He's saying like, he's suing them, saying like simultaneously, you somehow got photographs of me and distributed them, and I don't know where you got them.
Yeah,
I don't know if they came off that laptop you claim is mine, but you got them somewhere. And a lot of states have like laws against revenge porn or all that kind of shit. Like, honestly, there's probably like a lot of laws being broken with people distributing nude photos of Hunter Biden. Frankly, I mean, like that's against the law in a lot of places. So I don't know. We should probably go on the offensive. So anyway.
No, I mean, good. I don't know. It's possibly one of the funnier things I've seen. It's up there with like it's typical. He's a clown, so it's typical. Like an idiot like this would fall for if it's a prank or not, where everyone's just stupid. But like, it just shows he's an idiot.
Well, I could totally see Rand Paul not realizing what that shirt's about. That's certain people aren't going to see. Okay, so there's a company today called that we were dealing with. I'm gonna make up the name to kind of protect the names, but the let's say the name of the company was like this stick, and someone was like, hey, I got did you pick up this from like this dick? And I like made a laugh emoji or whatever because it was funny. It sounded like, did you pick up this dick?
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't get it at first because the way it was spelled was like you had to kind of like sound it out phonetically. It was a little bit of like a weird joke. But then once people got it, it was like real clear. And I could see Rand Paul not immediately seeing the 69 stuff because it doesn't literally say 69. It's like 2 handguns, and it's clearly 69 after you know it's 69, but it's like anyway.
This just said Marsha Blackburn took a photo with a young man. Marsha Blackburn, like, you know, that senator.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Was she from like Nebraska or something?
Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, she's an idiot. She took a picture.
She's so dumb.
A photo of her. It's with this guy, and he's wearing a Big Johnson's t-shirt.
Nice.
Said, I just made that up.
That would be awesome.
She always looks like Cruz. I could see Ted Cruz falling for that. Like, this boy was wearing this shirt, this Big Johnson shirt.
Yeah, but Ted Cruz might wink as he's doing it.
Ted Cruz, he's like, I owned like 4 of those when I was younger.
Yeah,
I feel like he's a little more
savvy.
Pop culture wise, he's a little more savvier than I'm sure Rand Paul is.
I think so too.
I feel like I remember when he was running for president and he was doing like Simpsons impressions. They were awful.
Yeah, I think Ted Cruz consumes pop culture, and I think Rand Paul consumes moonshine and varmints. Yeah, and dirt. Like he's
and Knuckles from Neighbors.
Right.
Sandwiches from Neighbors. It's my favorite meal. This favorite meal is
another helping of knuckle sandwiches.
My neighbor makes the best knuckle sandwiches. Right? So I love that. Do you remember that real quick? Do you remember that when he put out a thing like a year ago, whatever, about you people make fun of me? That guy, like he was saying like all the like serious interviews.
He had like a deflated lung.
His lung. I mean,
dude,
we should.
Neighbor went ham on him, just like
what?
The neighbor went ham on him, just like
probably
really
good fucking reason. You know, it's probably not the reasons we want.
No, like, but could you imagine having that
awful person,
insufferable prick as a neighbor? You know, he's the kind of guy that like shovels his dog shit into your yard or something. Like,
you ever seen the movie Megan yet?
No, I want to. Is that? I'm sure it's real
on
good.
Peacock. But
yeah,
it's about something with a neighbor. That's why it made me think of that.
Yeah, I need to. It's a good movie, right? It looks fun.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like. It's definitely better than it should be.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah,
it's good. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah. If you like Child's Play, the first one.
Yeah. I like that dance. That dance was like really
it's so creepy.
Mesmerizing. Yeah,
it's mesmerizing.
It was like I couldn't stop. I saw like a TikTok with it, and I must have watched that thing like no lie, probably like 10 times. And then all day I had like fucking Megan dances in my TikTok feed. Like I couldn't get rid of it.
There's a great video of this guy who does like an impression of the birds outside his window at 5 a.m.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah.
And his faces he makes.
I saw the first one I saw was
I watched this for 10 minutes.
The first one I saw was a woman doing it, and I don't know who the original was, but a woman, like a real pretty woman, did it, and she was saying it was like bird drama outside her window. And then subsequent to that, I've seen like 7 different people doing it, and I saw the guy one too. I think
that guy has the best face to do that.
Yeah, there's some really good ones.
Way to put it.
Well,
all right. Well, all right. We'll see. Maybe next week. Tune in next week to find out if Trump gets arrested. If Rand Paul stands next to somebody in a Bad Boy. What was it? Bad Boys? What was that shirt? The arm muscle guy. Was it Bad Boy?
I don't know. I remember the Big Johnson ones. I remember the Spuds McKenzie ones.
Yeah. He's gonna sit next to a guy wearing a bootleg Bart shirt where he's a Rastafarian.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Rastafarian Bart shirt, a bootleg Batman shirt from the late 80s. Maybe Rand Paul will stand. I'm trying to think of like all the stupid shirts.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Seymour Wood. Seymour Wood shirt.
Yeah. Oh fuck. All right.
Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.